At the hospital at this time, many people were gathered around to listen to the tragic story that a young man was telling. There was a young couple who lived a rich and prosperous life until one day the doctor announced that the husband had testicular cancer. Because both of them longed to have a child, the husband immediately informed the doctor that he wanted to freeze his sperm. The freezing process was then quickly carried out before the husband was taken for cancer treatment. 2 years later, the sperm was also put into use because the husband had completed the surgery very successfully. Perhaps because the quality of the sperm was so good, a baby boy also cried out miraculously when he was born, making the father extremely happy. After that, the father was the one who personally took care of his son with every bite and sleep. Every gesture and action of the child was exactly like his father. Time passed and the child gradually grew up. That day, the mother received a phone call from the hospital director informing her of the shocking news that her husband's sperm was contained in bottle 139. But the doctor accidentally took bottle 137 to fertilize it. After hearing this, the mother looked at her son with eyes that no longer had any love. At this moment, the young man also told everyone that it was 8 years later the couple discovered this horrifying truth. The mother went crazy and the father abandoned the child, causing the poor child to run away from home because he did not know who he was. Everyone present was outraged when the couple abandoned the child. After all, they had raised the child for 8 years. But the young man telling the story said that in this world, there was no law to punish someone who caused someone to give birth to the wrong child due to negligence. After saying that, the young man immediately swung his stick down and announced that this was the irresponsible hospital that should have been closed. He was the one who was born to worry about the mistakes of this hospital. The child born from the sperm vial number 137 was him. Then this guy took a stick and boldly walked inside. After destroying this clinic, the young man asked the director to tell him the information of his biological father. He was so terrified that he had no choice but to promise to reveal everything. During a delivery to the port, the guy Joe collided with a car that turned suddenly, causing him to fall onto the road in the rain. He checked and found that his goods were damaged. A man got out of the car and was about to complain, but he was stunned when he saw the son he had abandoned. The young man was also stunned, remembering the old memories when he was loved by this man. At this time, the man's wife discovered that their daughter had suffered a minor injury, so she immediately urged the man to go to the hospital. Hearing that, the man took out his business card and gave it to the young man to keep in touch to work with the insurance company. The young man read the business card and saw that his father was running a very large company, so he felt even more heartbroken. The young man also introduced his new name was Joe. Because of his life, he would do anything except killing people. When the man turned around and left, Joe immediately emphasized that he did not take on cases of finding lost children or running away from home. After that, Joe helplessly watched his father leave. This man did not know that Joe had a wound on his hand. Suddenly, a girl touched his hand and gently asked if he was okay. She also said that there was a hospital right around the corner. When Joe said that he was in a lot of pain, the girl used her towel to bandage his wound. After that, the girl named Jamie sat in the kindergarten and remembered the back of the guy she had seen on the street and whispered, "That kind of back makes me want to run over and hug you." Suddenly, that figure appeared at the school because Jamie's handkerchief had the name of the kindergarten written on it. At this time, Joe frankly asked if she had a boyfriend. The children told him that she didn't. When Jamie confirmed, Joe immediately suggested that the two of them date because he thought it would definitely be interesting. Hearing that, Jamie covered her name because Jamie also means interesting. Then Jamie also said that she liked men who smiled at her. When she learned that the guy's name was Joe, Jamie laughed out loud and said that his name was even more interesting than hers. After that, the two of them laughed happily with each other. But then the love story between the two of them didn't go anywhere and ended in resentment. After a while, Joe continued to do everything except kill people. He opened an errand shop called Joe Do It All, and his assistant Giho was responsible for receiving requests from customers on the Hey Do It All website. But Joe did not accept every case. He only accepted a request when he felt the case was interesting. Once Joe approved, Giho would negotiate a price with the party making the request. But Joe also had a rule, which was to never look for lost children or runaway teenagers, despite Giho's frustration because those searches were the easiest to do. But Joe was determined not to break the rule and said that if parents lost their children or their children ran away, it was the parents' responsibility. There was no room for outsiders like them to interfere. That day, a car drove up. A rich young lady was sitting in the car and saw the tattered sign that said, Joe Do It All, and she was very interested. Inside, Joe was about to eat a bowl of noodles when a man in a suit broke in and smashed his fish tank. Joe tried to use a piece of broken glass to resist, but he was neutralized by the man. The young lady in sunglasses entered and negotiated with Joe. She said that she just wanted to make a strong impression, so she broke in like this. She had no bad intentions. Then she wanted to hire him to do something, which was to kidnap her at the wedding. Hearing that interesting request, Haejo didn't think much and immediately agreed. But after that agreement, Giho kept advising Haejo to refuse the mission. Giho kept advising Haejo to refuse the mission because he had investigated that the woman was not normal. If Haejo was not careful, he could lose his life. However, Haejo did not care about his friend's words. Seeing that, Giho still did not give up. The next day, Giho continued to advise Haejo, but he did not change his mind. Haejo would still carry out that request. Finally, the woman's wedding date took place. While everyone was happily wishing the couple happiness, the bride's face showed obvious anxiety. At that moment, Haejo's motorbike rushed over. At first, everyone thought it was a performance, so they clapped and praised. Immediately after, Haejo stopped the motorbike and walked towards the bride. Before the groom could understand what was happening, Haejo beat him until his teeth fell out. At the same time, Haejo quickly pulled the bride away, surprising everyone. Although the crowd tried to stop them, Haejo dodged them all. In the end, Haejo successfully carried out his mission of kidnapping the bride. The bride was also very excited and raised her hands and shouted loudly. She did not forget to say that she had never seen a daredevil like Haejo. But they did not have time to be happy when bad things happened. Haejo suddenly felt dizzy and lost control of the car. In his last bit of consciousness, he tried to change direction to avoid hitting the truck in front. Then Haejo fainted and memories of his childhood flooded back. In those memories, he tried to chase after his parents, but they just wanted to chase him away because he was not their biological son. When Haejo woke up, he found himself in the hospital. After knowing that the bride was okay, Haejo wanted to leave immediately, but the doctor called him because he wanted to talk privately. Through the conversation, it could be seen that Haejo was suffering from a genetic disease. That is, his blood vessels overlap and roll together into blood clots. That endangers Haejo's life. In another development, a girl named Jamie also received sad news. The doctor said that she had early menopause and was unable to have children. That made Jamie very confused because she had to lie about her pregnancy to be able to enter her husband's house. But Jamie's future husband was the eldest grandson of a famous family. Because she was so sad, she quickly left. Haejo happened to be sitting nearby and saw her sad appearance. Recognizing someone familiar, he decided to follow her. Soon after, Haejo discovered Jamie was crying loudly because she was infertile. At that moment, a woman was busy on the phone, so she asked Jamie to hold her child. Unexpectedly, this old-looking woman had 7 children and was preparing 2 more. One had too many children to raise. The other wanted a child but couldn't. Jamie was extremely jealous and wanted to adopt the child. But the woman thought Jamie was crazy, so she asked for the child back. Despite Jamie's earnest pleas to raise the child, the woman still refused. In the end, she still had to try to sadly go home. Regardless of the rain, Jamie still walked as if she had no more strength left. At that moment, Haejo gave her an umbrella to cover her and quickly left. Jamie only had time to see his back but did not know who he was. In the pouring rain, Haejo's headache relapsed. Jamie's wailing voice kept ringing in his head. It turned out that Jamie was Haejo's ex-lover. Although they were very happy at first, they had to separate because of an argument. On this side, the groom was going crazy because he had just lost his bride. It turned out that he was not an ordinary person, but a gang leader named Wang Chil. Wang Chil smashed everything to vent his anger. Seeing this, Wang Chil's juniors were extremely scared and quickly bowed their heads to apologize. Wang Chil did not say much. He ordered his juniors to find Haejo. Haejo was currently in the hospital. He told everyone an interesting story. 30 years ago, there was a wealthy couple, but the husband had cancer, so he decided to freeze his sperm before treatment. Thanks to artificial insemination, the couple had a beautiful child. Everything was still happy until 8 years later. The wife heard the news that the child was not her husband's sperm. In shock, they abandoned the child. That child was none other than Haejo, an abandoned child because he mistakenly implanted with someone else's sperm. Worse, Haejo also had a genetic disease from the donor, so he was determined to go see the doctor to ask for information. After a while of threatening, he finally got scared and revealed it. Meanwhile, Jamie was busy preparing food for her wedding when she accidentally cut her hand with a knife and bled. Jamie's mother-in-law saw this and loudly scolded her. She scolded not because Jamie was clumsy, but because she was worried about the baby in Jamie's belly, but she didn't know that there was no baby. That night, Jamie had a nightmare that her mother-in-law found out about her fake pregnancy. She screamed and woke up in a panic. The next day, the wedding took place in a grand manner. Since it is the wedding of the eldest son in the family, there are a lot of guests. The groom was also about to go to the room to take the bride away. Unexpectedly, Haejo suddenly appeared and wanted to take Jamie away. As soon as the groom opened the door, he saw 2 people in the room. Haejo quickly said that he was Jamie's older brother, so he came to see her. The groom, without any suspicion, happily shook hands and introduced himself as Ao Hum. Seeing the awkward situation, Jamie pulled her husband out to finish the ceremony, but he said that the chicken used to throw instead of the bouquet had a escape, so everyone asked them to wait a moment. When Haejo asked Aohong what he liked most about Jae-mi, he said that he found everything about her adorable. Then Jae-mi found an excuse to politely dismiss and send Haejo away. Suddenly, the groom shouted loudly, as if he had discovered something. He rushed forward with an angry attitude. When Haejo was about to resist, Aohong hugged him tightly and made a promise. Aohong said that he would take responsibility for Jae-mi until he died, so he hoped Haejo would believe him this time. Jae-mi was very touched when she heard it. After that, Haejo kept asking Jae-mi why she loved such an idiot. Did Aohong still love Jae-mi when they had no children? She loudly affirmed that she loved him. Because Aohong wanted to be with Jae-mi, he announced to his family that she was pregnant. Jae-mi also thought that her husband was different from Haejo because her husband was not afraid of taking responsibility. So Jae-mi absolutely refused to give up on this marriage. She hoped that he would not appear in front of her again. Then she turned around and left. Unexpectedly, Haejo chased after her and carried Jae-mi on his shoulder. She struggled but hit her head on the crossbar and passed out. This made Haejo's process of stealing the bride easier. The housekeeper had just caught the chicken when she saw this scene. Because the bride was missing, the wedding was cancelled. Everyone cleaned up together. At this time, the elders continuously criticized her for choosing an orphan bride. They thought that Hoja should not have let Jae-mi be the eldest daughter-in-law of the family in the first place. Aohong was a precious child that she had only given birth to after 20 years of being a daughter-in-law. The elders thought that letting women decide everything in the house was the reason for this incident. She immediately slammed the table and affirmed that she was the one who had revived this family. Previously, because of the hardship, their family had to uproot all the trees in the yard to sell. Hoja was the one who built this family, so she asked them not to make up stories about her son's marriage. Hoja loudly told them to eat cake, drink tea, and go home. The elders heard and were wary of the power of the 17th generation eldest daughter-in-law of the large family. Hoja came and suggested that her son take off his groom's clothes. When he heard his mother, Aohong said that maybe Jae-mi would come back. His mother was angry and took off his clothes. Aohong also sadly affirmed that his wife did not run away. He thought that his wife was in trouble. Hoja immediately asked him if he knew the name and phone number of Jae-mi's close brother. Aohong immediately said that he only knew that the close brother was in the same orphanage with Jae-mi. Hearing that, Hoja's mother immediately mocked her son's intelligence. He told them to eat cake, drink tea, and go home. And were wary of the power of the 7th generation eldest daughter-in-law large family. Hoja came and suggested that her son take off groom's clothes. Aohong said that maybe he would come back. He was angry and took off his clothes. Aohong also sadly affirmed that he did not run away. He thought that was in trouble. Hoja immediately asked him if he knew the name and phone number of Jae-mi's close brother. Aohong immediately only knew that the close was in the same orphanage with Jae-mi. Hearing that, Hoja immediately mocked her son's intelligence. Eat cake, drink tea, that I didn't know why Haejo hid your wife for himself. Power of the 17th generation daughter-in-law of the large family. Hoja came and suggested that her take off his groom's clothes. Aohong said that maybe Jae-mi would come back. His mother was angry and took his clothes. Aohong also sadly affirmed that his wife did not run away. He thought his wife was in trouble. Hoja immediately asked him if he knew the name and phone number of Jae-mi, that the close brother, same orphanage with Jae-mi. That, Hoja's mother immediately mocked her son's intelligence. Told them to eat cake, drink tea, and go home. While hunting, Aohong saw two fish each other. But now he had reappeared. When Haejo hugged her, Jae-mi burst into tears and said that she had menopause at this age because of his unlucky mouth. Haejo also promised that he would be punished after death, so he hoped she wouldn't cry. Then Jae-mi washed her clothes again. When she picked up the shoe, she remembered that night when she had just carried the suitcase through the door. Her fiancé held her hand and gently wiped her sweat. So Jae-mi hid the suitcase and pushed Aohong into a corner. She made an excuse to go out for some night air to ease her nervousness. At that time, Aohong was extremely embarrassed when his fiancée touched him. He pushed her away and said he had something urgent to do. Aohong pulled Jae-mi to the well. Then he reached down and took out a pair of flower shoes to give to his bride. Then Aohong gently put the shoes on his fiancée. Jae-mi felt extremely touched and asked if people said that if gave shoes to a woman, she would run away. But Aohong insisted that if she ran away, he would catch her and bring her back. If she ran away, he would chase her to the ends of the earth to catch her. She hugged him because she was so touched. Aohong also thanked Jae-mi for accepting accepting his horrible family. Only then did she feel what it was like to have a family. Eo-hung suggested that Jamie not care whether the child was a boy or a girl, but to have as many children as possible, and they would be listed in the Guinness Book of Records as the couple with the most children in the world. Jamie felt moved when she heard that. At this moment, she also burst into tears and dropped her shoe into the water. Haejo picked it up and then returned it to her. In the car, Haejo announced that he would take her to Namwon because one of the people he was looking for lived there. After a while of chatting, Jamie asked to borrow Haejo's jacket and then secretly took his phone. Jamie tried to guess the password, but all of them were wrong. Haejo immediately read out password and asked what she was going to say to her future husband. Could it be that Jamie would tell everyone that she had hidden her early menopause to become the daughter-in-law of a wealthy family, but in the end, she was taken away by her ex-boyfriend? Jamie immediately asked Haejo if he had investigated or knew her secret. Now Haejo also told her that Jamie had cried like a madwoman at the hospital funeral home. Jamie immediately asked if Haejo was happy now because he had said that she could be a good wife but could not be a good mother. Then Jamie suggested stopping the car because she wanted to go to the toilet. A while later, while Haejo was filling up the gas tank, Jamie stood in the bathroom and started her escape plan again. She climbed through the bathroom window. When she tried to climb over the wall, Jamie thought her feet touched the pedestal. Unexpectedly, the pedestal was Haejo. She was hugged by him. Jamie could only continue the journey. At home, Eo-hung remembered his wife's brother's face. He was very angry that this person had kidnapped his wife, so Eo-hung was determined to drive to rescue Jamie, but he was stopped by the housekeeper. Then his mother appeared and asked him to get out of the car. After being glared at by Hoja, Eo-hung also got out of the car. When his mother yelled at him, he immediately took the wedding hat and walked into the house. Hoja ordered the butler to mobilize all his connections to find the car that took Jamie away. Haejo threw the phone away, so Eo-hung had to go pick it up. Then, Hoja expressed his determination to catch the person who dared to steal the grandchild of the big family. At this time, Haejo also drove to town. He parked the car in front of a clothing store so that the two could change clothes. As soon as she got out of the car, Jamie ran away and shouted that she had been kidnapped and wanted help. But the street was very deserted at that time because everyone had gone to see a famous singer's concert. At this time, an uncle on a bicycle appeared, but he called her a crazy woman. So Jamie had to go into the clothing store with Haejo. Then, while choosing clothes, Jamie secretly borrowed a phone from the store owner. The owner also told Jamie the password, so she took it into the changing room. But when she pressed the call button, Jamie suddenly forgot the phone number. Haejo waited outside for a long time. Then, he decided to change his clothes right there without going inside. At this time, Jamie also remembered Eo-hong's number, but when she pressed the call button, no one answered. When she was about to text, Haejo called from outside. Then Jamie also changed her dress and came out. When Jamie was about to leave the store, Haejo called her back and took out the phone that she had mistakenly taken. Then, he returned it to the owner of the clothing store. After that, the two of them continued to get in the car and headed to Namwon City. Meanwhile, Eo-hong was looking everywhere for his phone. Then the housekeeper informed him that he had dropped it in the car. Eo-hong checked and found a text message and 3 missed calls. He quickly called back to check the situation. The owner of the clothing store said she had gone with a young man. Eo-hong immediately went outside. Jamie suddenly remembered the old days when the two were still in love. Had said that he would chase Jamie to the ends of the earth. She would wait for him, and she emphasized that she loved him very much. Eo-hong saw his mother's figure in the room. Although he was scared, he still held onto his hat and drove to find Jamie. Eo-hong was determined to punish the person who dared to take his wife away. At the same time, Haejo drove Jamie to a traditional pig intestine soup shop. She said that she would not eat. Haejo informed her that person he was looking for was there. Even if she did not want to eat, she had to get out of the car. If Jamie cooperated, the kidnapping time would be shortened. When she heard this, she quickly got out of the car. When the two of them entered the shop, the owner announced that the kitchen was closed. Haejo looked at the old man with a somewhat skeptical look. Then Haejo looked tired and said that I drove for 6 hours so that my pregnant wife could eat your soup. The boss heard and immediately changed his mind. He invited the two of them to sit at the table. After a while, 2 servings of soup were brought out. Jamie smiled and said that her husband couldn't eat strong-smelling dishes because he said that he wasn't still living in the wilderness, so he wouldn't eat internal organs. Hearing Jamie say that, Haejo felt a little embarrassed, so he kicked her leg to remind her. To ease the awkwardness, Jamie said that she would eat 2 servings for the baby. The boss asked Haejo how many months the baby was. Jamie interrupted and said that he wasn't the baby's father, so he wouldn't know. The boss was very surprised when he heard that. Then he introduced his daughter-in-law, who would give birth next month. Then he talked about his children's in the family. At first, the boss's 3 sons lived in different places. Eo-hung kept avoiding care of him. Heijo said, "There's something on his head." Then, Heijo reached out and pulled out a few strands of hair and put them in his pocket. Heijo watched while drinking. He realized that the children of this family were very filial to their father, and they seemed to get along well. When the lights went out in the shop, Heijo pretended not to find the wallet and said that he must have left it at the gas station. The owner generously refused to take any money from the two guests from far away. Heijo asked to stay overnight because he had been drinking and couldn't drive. After that, the two of them slept in the kind owner's house. When Heijo got closer and asked Jamie if she remembered that he couldn't eat pig intestines, she threatened to scream and say that he was kidnapping her. So Heijo also returned to his position and asked her not to try to escape again. He also reminded her that he was easy to wake up. In the middle of the night, Jamie gently sat up and tiptoed out of the room. But when she passed Heijo, she saw him sweating. Jamie also heard him mumbling and begging someone not to go. Jamie saw that and sat down and held Heijo's hand. At that time, Heijo was dreaming about the accident when he delivered goods to the port. At that time, he met his father again. His father did not ask him and quickly left right after that. He was also comforted by a girl who held his hand as soon as she saw him injured. When Heijo opened his eyes, his hand was also held tightly by Jamie, so Heijo immediately pulled her down. When her ex-boyfriend held her hands tightly, she also closed her eyes. But Heijo took the opportunity to tie Jamie up so that she could not escape. After that, he took another photo as a souvenir. Heijo went out to wash his face and burst out laughing. He whispered to himself, "Why did this girl close her eyes just now?" Then, Heijo received a call from the DNA expert. Then, Heijo gave the restaurant owner's hair for testing. When the expert said it would take 3 days to get the results, Heijo immediately asked for the results to be available tomorrow morning. Then, Heijo gave the expert a stack of money to speed up the process. Previously, the doctor had shown Heijo a list of people who had donated sperm to the hospital. They were all salesmen for the Unpung pharmaceutical company. Heijo also realized that the pharmaceutical company had donated sperm from its employees to sell medicine to the hospital. Based on the AB blood type, Heijo filtered out 5 names that could be the owners of the 137 sperm bottles. The pig intestine soup shop owner was the first suspect that Heijo was checking. Then, Heijo passed by the shop. Heijo saw the youngest brother holding a knife to talk to the 2 older brothers. The youngest brother insisted that this shop was his because he thought he was the one who took care of their father the most. When the second brother objected, the youngest brother immediately called him a debtor who had been abandoned by his wife, so he came here to depend on father. When the two were about to fight, the sister-in-law immediately suggested that if anyone offered a good price, they should sell the shop, then divide it into 4 parts. Each of them would enjoy it, and then send their father to a nursing home. The 2 sons were extremely upset when the sister-in-law also demanded a share, while there were only 3 sons in the family. One younger brother thought that the older brother and his wife wanted to use that money to invest in virtual currency, so the couple rushed in to beat up the youngest brother. Heijo stood by and watched the fight. He found it interesting that the shop was named Lucky Pig Intestines Soup. In the room, Jamie screamed loudly for help, but the owner was fast asleep. Jamie tried to use her feet to grab a pair of scissors, but dropped them on the ground. She pulled the table with all her might and the rope broke. But when Jamie looked up, she saw Heijo's face. He laughed loudly when she continued to act silly in front of him. Jamie immediately told Heijo that he would go to jail for kidnapping someone. Heijo immediately said that he would die anyway, but she did not stop threatening him. She said that she could arrest him if her mother-in-law gave the order. She also boasted that her mother-in-law had turned her family's cuisine into a brand and had it recognized as a world cultural heritage. Heijo immediately called Jamie a traitor for deceiving the world's cultural heritage. She hid the fact that she had early menopause to deceive her mother-in-law. Feeling at a loss, Jamie immediately told that her husband would come to her rescue because she believed in the power of love. Heijo immediately said that he had also loved her passionately, but Jamie also chose to leave. She immediately argued that he was the one who broke up with her first. Jamie left because she thought he would keep her. Realizing that she had misspoken, she quickly ran to get a blanket and covered herself up so as not to talk to Heijo anymore. But he continued to talk. Then, Heijo pulled the blanket firmly. Then he continued to tease her to continue the unfinished kiss. A moment later, Jamie turned around and saw Heijo's back, which reminded her of his back when they first met. At that time, Jamie saw Heijo's hand bleeding, so she went to help. It was from that first look that Heijo fell in love with her. After that day, Jamie kept thinking about Heijo's back. Jamie was thinking when she was startled when she saw Heijo. It turned out that he had come all the way to the kindergarten to find her. Heijo was very straightforward. He expressed that he wanted to date her. Although she didn't want to agree at first, she found the guy interesting, so the two officially dated. Back to reality, Hoja was managing the kitchen team when Galja, Hoja's younger sister, ran in to inform her that Ao Hong had run away from home last night. But Hoja calmly replied that as a husband, he had to go find his pregnant wife. It turned out that she already knew that her son had run away from home. Hoja Galja saw her son driving out of the house last night. She asked the housekeeper if he had filled Ao Hong's car with gas. At this time, Galja also asked if this family still kept the old rule, which was not to sleep together before the wedding. Actually, only Hoja could keep that, because Galja couldn't keep that before the wedding. Galja also sarcastically said that she thought Ao Hong was innocent and would be serious, but he unexpectedly got someone else pregnant after only 2 months of dating. She also emphasized that like a father, like a daughter. Hoja immediately slapped Galja in the mouth because she dared to bring up past. Now Ao Hong was holding on to the bride's hat and sleeping in the car. A policeman knocked on the car window and announced that Ao Hong was about to be steamed. Then the police also received a case of a close brother who kidnapped the bride and took her all the way to Namwon. Ao Hong immediately showed the brother's identification drawing. The policeman immediately showed this identification photo to his colleagues. Then Ao Hong used the drawing to describe the characteristics of the kidnapper of his wife. The policeman immediately asked him if he was a fortune teller. Ao Hong said he was a doctor of Oriental medicine. Giho had done business with Ao Hong at a supermarket. Another police officer asserted that Ao Hong was a traditional Chinese medicine doctor, so how could his wife run away with someone else? The police officer immediately said that maybe the other guy was better. Ao Hong immediately stood up and asserted that the feelings between him and Jamie were very strong. Later, when Jamie's picture was printed, Ao Hong was still fascinated by his fiancée's gentle beauty. This picture was taken when the two went on a picnic together. Even when Jamie took the initiative to hold her hand and put her on his shoulder, Ao Hong refused because he thought that men and women should not have intimate contact. At this time, Ao Hong also whispered that they only dared to hold hands, and he had tried to hold back until the wedding day, but that scumbag took Jamie away. Ao Hong thought that she should have been his wife by now. Ao Hong didn't know if this guy had done anything to Jamie. The police officers who heard this kept avoiding Ao Hong. At the same time, Haejo was throwing Jamie's flowery shoe onto the roof. In another development, Wang Chil's Lone Shark gang was mobilizing forces to go to Namwon. Wang Chil was sitting in the car with his gang. Giho was being squeezed so much that he had to bend down so that Wang Chil could rest his feet. Ao Hong was sweating profusely, posting flyers to find his missing bride. He distributed flyers everywhere in Namwon, but passersby didn't pay much attention to Ao Hong, but he was still determined to find his bride to the end. A gust of wind blew a flyer, and it flew up and landed on a car. After waking up, Haejo went to see the shop owner and paid him for yesterday's meal. Haejo asked if you had any spare slippers. Please give me a pair. But Giho still rushed into the house, hoping to had paid so much money he should finish his meal and leave. After Jamie got a new pair of slippers, she still insisted that Haejo return the flowered shoes to her. Then she blamed him for coming here just to eat. Why did he say he was looking for someone? Haejo immediately said he had found someone, but he was waiting for an answer. Haejo then turned his eyes to the two fake sons. They were pretending to take care of their father. Just then, a real estate broker walked in. He congratulated the owner because a big coffee brand had opened across the street. He then asked the two sons to sign the transfer contract. So the daughter-in-law immediately found a way to drag her father-in-law inside. The youngest brother appeared and stopped the transaction. He suggested that the two brothers give him half. Haejo then slammed the table and demanded that it be divided into 5 parts. Haejo said that he might also have a share in the restaurant because Haejo might be one of the restaurant owner's illegitimate children. After all, they said last night that they would divide it among their family members. Haejo teased them that they wanted to sell the restaurant and house to divide it and put their father in a nursing home. Haejo looked at the sister-in-law and smiled. That's right, sister-in-law. She immediately insisted that it was not true. When Haejo was grabbed by the youngest son, he immediately said that he took care of his father the most, so he wanted to take everything. He then hit Haejo. Haejo immediately fought back and knocked down the other two brothers. The restaurant owner could only stand and watch. The real estate broker sneaked out. He was very upset that Haejo had ruined his business. He was about to crumple the flyer stuck on the car window when he saw the face of the girl he had just met in the restaurant. Bong Suk in the door and walked out. He removed all obstacles to rush to find his bride. Jamie was about to sneak out when the restaurant owner suddenly threw a handful of salt in Haejo's face, so she stopped. At this time, Wang Chil's gang was also preparing all their weapons. 2 patrolling policemen were also coming to the restaurant. They confidently thought that there was just a small fight going on. Now the owner of the pig intestine soup restaurant also loudly chased the 2 people to get out. After being chased out of the restaurant, Haejo still tried to tell the restaurant owner that he was being tricked by them. The restaurant owner owner immediately said that he knew everything. He was just pretending to be stupid. He thought that Heijo was causing chaos in his family. When Heijo heard that, he was choked up and couldn't say anything. At this time, Heijo also received the test results. The father and son relationship did not match, so Heijo also let go. After that, Heijo muttered that it really had nothing to do with him, so why was he meddling in other people's business like this? Jamie asked Heijo if he had a long-term illness that he was hiding. At this moment, Giho also found out Heijo's location. Heijo suggested that Jamie get in the car, but she didn't want to continue the journey. Suddenly, Heijo saw Eo Hong running towards him, so he picked Jamie up and continued to run away. Jamie also saw her husband, so she kept shouting. At this time, Eo Hong was trying to cross the street. When Heijo's car had just left, the gangster's car had just arrived at the pig intestine soup restaurant. Wang Chil went inside and used a knife to demand that guy come out. Giho also joined in the destruction to increase his power. The restaurant owner appeared with a pig intestine and rushed to beat Wang Chil. When the melee was about to take place, two patrol policemen with weak electric guns suppressed the criminals. The driver had to open the car window because Heijo had not for many days, so he smelled. Announced over the radio that he had borrowed the police car because he was in a hurry. Eo Hong would definitely return it later. When the police asked who he was, Eo Hong introduced himself as the fifth-generation grandson of the Eo family. Soon after, Hoja also received news from Ganja that Eo Hong had stolen the police patrol car and was driving somewhere in Namwon. Hoja immediately called to tell a man named John about the situation. She suggested that he return to Korea right away. Jamie kept scratching her head and not letting Heijo drive. When she saw Eo Hong driving the police car, she quickly called for help. Eo Hong also used the police loudspeaker to say, "I love you" to his fiancée, causing Heijo to laugh. After that, Jamie continued to use force to force Heijo to stop the car. Heijo tried to resist. Heijo finally pushed Jamie aside. After a while, Heijo swerved to avoid the truck, so his car stopped right at the edge of the road just in time. But Eo Hong lightly hit the back of Heijo's car, so it went down a slope, trapping Jamie and injuring Heijo's head. Heijo immediately declared that he would make Jamie lose her husband, and he got out of the car. She struggled and finally got out of the car, but Jamie was used by Heijo as a shield for his electric gun, so Eo Hong couldn't pull the trigger. At this time, many policemen were approaching the police car thief. Eo Hong signaled Jamie to move aside, so Jamie attacked Heijo and managed to move aside. Eo Hong kept pulling the trigger, but no electric spark was emitted, so Heijo confidently went forward to challenge him. Bong Suk tried to stop them, struck his leg with electric shocks, so Eo Hong immediately fainted on the spot. Jamie immediately attacked Heijo because he had injured her fiancé. She continuously hit and cursed him as trash, letting him die. At this moment, Heijo got sick again and fell to the ground unconscious. Jamie thought that Heijo was acting, but Heijo did not react at all, so she had to choose between her fiancé and her ex-boyfriend. Jamie decided to wake Eo Hong up. When she held Eo Hong's hand, Jamie suddenly remembered that on a rainy day, she took a taxi to the Eo family's mansion. At this time, Eo Hong was taking off her clothes and sitting in the rain to beg her mother to let him marry her. Despite everyone's fear that Eo Hong would die soon, Hoja still firmly opposed her son's request to marry a girl he had only known for 2 months. Even if Eo Hong goes on a hunger strike or takes off his clothes, his mother tells him that if he's so good, he should just take off his underwear. When Eo Hong is about to do that, Jamie immediately runs to shield him. She puts her coat on him and tells him to leave her because he can't win against his mother. He holds out his hand tremblingly and asks her to promise that she will never let go of his hand. Jamie immediately holds Eo Hong's hand and agrees. After that, he informs his mother that Jamie is pregnant. This makes both Hoja and Jamie surprised. At this time, she also remembers that she can't get pregnant and the sentence that they should set a Guinness record for the couple with the most children in the world. This makes Jamie have no choice but to let go of her fiancé. At the same time, she also cries at her choice. Jamie decides to drag Heijo's body into a bush. Heijo heard this and wanted to continue looking for the third person on the list of could be his father. Giho promised to help Heijo. Didn't have the confidence to hold his hand anymore. On this side, the gangsters of the shady company were taken to the police station. They loudly claimed that they had nothing to do with the soup shop, but the police insisted that they had seen them use weapons in front of the shop owner. Could it be that they were planning to bring weapons to help him stuff pig intestines? A moment later, they were all put in a cage. When Wang Chil sat down on the chair, Eo Hong also suddenly woke up. Eo Hong held the bride's hat and remembered his clumsy actions. Because of that, he couldn't save Jamie. When Wang Chil was about to go and cause trouble. The police informed him that person backing Il-hung was not ordinary and that their superiors had just ordered them to release him. When Il-hung was released from the cell, the police also informed him that someone had come to pick him up. He then asked for news about his fiancée. Police said they had left car but did not know where she had gone. Before that, when he received instructions from Hoja, John immediately entered Korea and started the task he was assigned. At the same time, Haejo on this side also woke up. He found himself lying on a bush. He was sad because he did not know where Jamie had gone. But then, he saw her sitting on a bridge. Haejo went up and thanked her for hiding him there. Then he tried to put flowers in her hair but she pushed him away. When Jamie left, Haejo stopped her. Jamie then asked Haejo to kill her or she would kill him. Jamie said that one of them had to die to be separated. Jiho then announced that he had found the third king. Then Haejo should die first. Jamie begged Haejo to choose one of the two ways. After a few moments of silence, Haejo also declared that he would choose to let Jamie live happily and he would die. But if he lived, then she would still be his. Jamie asked Haejo what he meant by dying. Haejo immediately promised that he would go far away so that she could be happy and leave forever. After that, the two of them linked hands and promised each other. Jamie took the opportunity when Haejo was not alert and kicked him into the water. She shouted that she was afraid that he wouldn't die, so she had to play dirty. When Jamie ran away, Haejo burst out laughing at her craziness. Then he muttered, "Why is life so interesting when I'm about to die?" Haejo felt regretful about present. Jamie wandered around for a while and then went to the police station. She looked inside for a long time. When she saw Il-hung looking outside, Jamie sat down to hide. Then Jamie saw a public phone. Inside the police station, Il-hung kept hanging up the phone. When Il-hung decided to pick up the phone, he heard Jamie's voice. Il-hung immediately informed the police that Jamie was calling him. The police also located the location of this phone number. Jamie burst into tears and told Il-hung that she was very scared. She was afraid of having to bear the consequences if she lied to her mother and Il-hung's family. He immediately affirmed that he was the one who lied about her pregnancy, so he would bear all the consequences for her. At this time, Haejo appeared again and asked Jamie to hang up, so Il-hung could no longer receive the signal. The police also realized that this was the number of the public phone booth right in front of the station. If Haejo was Chairman Shin's son, see Jamie there. At this time, she hid in front of the car and burst into tears. Haejo next to her kept comforting her. After that, the two of them sat down to eat together to regain their strength. After drinking quite a lot of alcohol, Haejo immediately turned his eyes towards Jamie and said that he was looking at her chest, so she immediately threw a glass of wine at him. But Haejo spoke up and said that it was dirty. He also wondered why she didn't run away at the police station earlier to live happily. Now Jamie also confessed that she probably wouldn't be happy because when she entered such a prestigious family, her life would change. But that also meant that Jamie could take away all of Il-hung's happiness and that she might be even more unhappy. She began to hesitate when preparing to become the noble daughter-in-law of the Ao family. Haejo immediately said that some people are born with a seed of misfortune. That is the number 137. At the same time, at the Ao family home, Hoja called to thank the Namwon police station chief for taking care of her son. She affirmed that Il-hung would not act impulsively again. At the same time, Il-hung was making a fuss at police station. He continued to play the striptease game to protest because the police still did not believe that his wife was kidnapped. The gangsters of the Prince gang were also enthusiastically cheering for this bold action. So Il-hung became even more reckless. When Il-hung decided not to leave the police station, he was suddenly picked up by John. Then Il-hung was carried outside. At this time, Galja asked why her sister used John. If Haejo was Chairman Shin's son of a prestigious family, being kidnapped by a stranger on her wedding day while she was pregnant got out, there would be a lot of rumors, so I needed to handle this quietly. In the car, Il-hung was looking at the profile of the kidnapper that John had given him. Il-hung realized that his mother had a hand in this. Il-hung knew that his mother had asked John not to make a big deal out of it and secretly took him back. At this time, Il-hung also realized that the kidnapper was not an orphan and that his real name was Sung Hyo, so he was not the brother who grew up in the orphanage with Jamie. Il-hung wondered why she lied to him. Il-hung immediately thought about the fact that the police suspected that this was a case of running away with a mistress, but Il-hung still insisted that it was not like that. But then he was shaken when he saw the photos of Jamie being very comfortable with this fake brother. Il-hung thought about what his mother would receive, so he tore it up and threw it outside. Then he shouted loudly in rising anger. When John stopped the car, Il-hung got out of the car and said that he couldn't go home until he found Jamie. If John used force, Il-hung Hong would run out into the middle of the road. Then Ao Hong sat in the driver's seat of the car. But Ao Hong couldn't find the key. Suddenly John threw Ao Hong the key and sat in the seat next to him. John reclined the seat as far as he could, letting Ao Hong drive the car wherever he wanted. The next day, Haejo bought 2 train tickets to Busan. He saw that Jamie was cold, so he bought her a bottle of hot milk to keep her warm. He also put his coat on her. She was very happy to see some money in the coat pocket. Bong Suk was upset that Jamie had dragged a dying person away the tracks and pulling her back. The two of them were sitting on the train when an old lady gave them a potato. Right after that, the old lady's husband also farted. Seeing that, the couple laughed happily together. Jamie saw a mother taking care of her child, so Jamie imagined that she was the one experiencing that feeling of happiness. When Haejo saw the father and son next door playing together, he remembered the past when his father loved him so much. After a while, Haejo told Jamie the reason he went to Busan. Haejo said that he went there to find his biological father. His father was the one who gave sperm and forced him to come to this world. First of all, one of the 5 candidates was eliminated. The restaurant owner they met last time was not his father. Jamie immediately said that it was lucky that it wasn't him because he was the type of person who blindly covered up even when his children were bad. Then she also wondered why he suddenly looked for his biological father. Haejo said that he was curious. His vacation was almost over. At this time, Haejo's head hurt again, so he went to the bathroom. Then he tried to take the medicine, but Haejo accidentally dropped it on the ground. Now the hallucination appeared again, so Haejo couldn't pick up the medicine either. He tried to wash his face to calm down. When the train arrived at the station, Jamie knocked on the bathroom door to call Haejo out. When Haejo opened the door and walked out, Jamie saw the pills scattered on the floor. So when the two of them were together, Jamie asked why Haejo fainted yesterday and had a nosebleed. Haejo immediately said that it was her groom who did it, and now he sometimes forgets things down the hill, almost killing him, so he only had a nosebleed. Jamie pointed to the taxi to stop him. In another development, Ao Hong was filling up the gas tank, but he felt miserable thinking about the intimate image between Jamie and that man. At this time, John received an image showing that the couple had arrived in Busan, so he stopped filling up the gas tank. Then John sat in the driver's seat and turned on the departure route to Busan. At this time, Haejo and Jamie went to a market to buy clothes. When the two of them finished choosing clothes, Haejo bought a handbag and withdrew all the money from his account. So Jamie volunteered to be the bodyguard to keep all this money. After that, Haejo continued to buy another phone to use because while on the train, he heard what Jiho had secretly informed him. The gang prince is chasing Haejo, so Jiho has to follow them to survive. Jiho blames Haejo for running away with the bride of Wang Chil. Haejo is quite surprised to hear that. At this time, he also destroys his smartphone. After that, the two of them continue to explore the market's cuisine together. When looking at the bowl of red bean porridge, Haejo remembers his brain, so he can't swallow this dish. Haejo calls Bong Suk to inform him that he has gone far away, so she should find someone else. When she asks who he ran away with, he says he went with a rustic girl. Then Haejo asks about Giho's current job. Bong Suk says that Giho has become Wang Chil's subordinate. At this time, Haejo sees Jamie bargaining for a pair of shoes, so he buys them for her. Haejo followed behind and looked at Jamie and whispered that although she was a bit rustic, she was pretty. At the same time, Giho was being tied up in the middle of the train tracks by the Prince gang as punishment. Wang Chil told Giho that when a man has had his woman taken away, there is nothing he would not dare to do. Then the assistant played the recording, proving that Giho had secretly informed Haejo about the situation. Wang Chil said that they had hacked his phone because of suspicion. Because of Giho, Haejo was able to escape when they arrived. Giho kept begging them to spare his life. At this time, the train whistle also sounded. Giho was extremely scared. The train arrived while Wang Chil was shouting, but luckily, it ran through the wire next to it. Wang Chil announced that the train would really arrive in an hour and a half. If Giho wanted to live, he had to find Haejo during that time. So Giho spoke up to promise. Haejo and Jamie went up a hill to find the house of the second suspect. When Jamie tripped over a snake, Haejo ran away first. After a while, the two of them finally found the man's house, but no one was home. A while later, the man also brought a ginseng root home. When Haejo didn't know how to start the conversation, Jamie asked if he was Jae-gon. The man heard and took out a sickle. Jamie quickly explained why the two of them came here. She came here to find the person who donated sperm and created Haejo. So if it wasn't too much trouble, Jae-jun could give them some hair or a toothbrush. The man approached them with a serious face and said it sounded interesting. Haejo was surprised to hear that. Jae-jun then said that when he was working at Unpung Pharmaceutical Company, he donated sperm several times. At that time, Jae-jun lost a lot of money on stocks, so he was a bit short of money. Because each donation cost 100,000 won, he was tempted. While drinking tea together, Jae-gun said that he lived alone. When he was young, Jae-gon used to beat meet his wife, so his wife left him. Now Jae-joon discovered that he might have another child. When Jae-mi said that the test results would come back in just one day, Jae-gon invited the two of them to sleep here tonight. Jae-gon then went to clean the attic for them. At the same time, Ao-hung and John were sitting at a rest stop. Seeing that John did not respond to what he said, Ao-hung grabbed John's hand and pressed his acupressure points. Then, Ao-hung announced that they were now partners, so communication was very important. Ao-hung continued massaging John's ears and helping his blood circulate throughout his body. Suddenly, John became shy. Then, John quickly stood up and got into the car. At the same time, the DNA testing expert struggled to climb the mountain to meet Hae-jo. Hae-jo handed over the toothbrush and asked to receive the results tomorrow morning. The expert was unhappy that he had been summoned to this mountainous area, but Hae-jo just left indifferently. On the mountain, Jae-joon was harvesting his homegrown vegetable garden. Jae-joon told Jae-mi that when he worked at the pharmaceutical company, he had undergone brain surgery several times, but was told that there was no hope. That's why he gave up everything to wander around. But now, he is still enduring well. Jae-mi also expressed her hope that he would be Hae-jo's father because the two of them seemed to be very compatible. Both of them are the type of people who wander and do not like to be tied down in one place. When Jae-gen asked Jae-mi why she liked Hae-jo, she immediately used every reason to deny it. When Jae-mi heard Jae-geon express his wish that Jae-mi would be his daughter-in-law, the girl quickly ran into the house to wash vegetables to avoid him. A moment later, Hae-jo entered the house and saw Jae-mi laughing and joking happily with Jae-geon in the kitchen. Jae-geon suggested that Jae-mi feed his son some of this food, so Jae-mi cooled it down and fed it to Hae-jo. When he got hot, she wiped the food and put it in her mouth. Then she quickly explained that it was an occupational disease. When she looked after the children at kindergarten, Jae-mi often wiped their mouths like that. In another development, Gi-ho kept calling to find Hae-jo's whereabouts, but there were only 4 minutes left before the train arrived. At this time, Gi-ho was also able to call a person-finding specialist. This person said that Hae-jo had contacted him to find out the addresses of a few people, so Gi-ho asked for their addresses. At night, when going to bed, Jae-mi took the initiative to pull the mattress away to keep her distance from her ex-boyfriend. Then she told him why she was laughing with Jae-gen in the kitchen. When she saw a tiny potato growing on another potato, Jae-mi whispered that even potatoes have children. She is not even as good as a potato. But she was very surprised by Jae-geon's reaction. Jae-geon picked up the bag of mushrooms and said that this mushroom even had the name of the person who planted it written on it. But Hae-jo did not know who his biological father was, so he is not even as good as a mushroom. Jae-geon's comparison was so accurate that it made Jae-mi laugh heartily. It was supposed to be a sad story, but he turned it into an extremely funny story. Hae-jo sat and looked at his ex-girlfriend, laughing, and told her to just cry. She shouldn't try to smile. Jae-mi heard it, so she lay down and covered herself with the blanket. After a while, she also cried under the blanket. Hae-jo was next to her, using his hand to comfort her. When Jae-mi asked what Hae-jo was doing, he said the mushroom was hugging a potato, so she continued to cry even louder. Suddenly, Hae-jo's illness relapsed. In another development, John drove into a bustling red light district. The two were continuously invited by many beautiful girls. Ao-hong suggested that the two of them spend the night at a motel. Then, when they entered the room, the two saw a bunch of heart-shaped flowers and items on the bed. At this time, sensitive sounds were echoing in the next room. John looked at Ao-hong affectionately. Seeing this, Ao-hong was a bit confused and raised her hand to defend herself. It turned out that John came and punched the wall to silence the next room. At this time, John received a message that the car that the other guy was driving was registered to a person named Gi-ho. At this time, Gi-ho was also going to Busan with Wang Chil. Neither of them knew why Hae-jo suddenly ran up the mountain. After that, Gi-ho received a strange phone number, so he kept turning off his phone. When Wang Chil asked Gi-ho to pick up the phone, he picked up, but the person on the other end of the line asked about a person named Sung Hyuk, so he turned off his phone and told Wang Chil that it was just a random call. In the middle of the night, Hae-jo staggered downstairs. He was trying to find medicine, his bottle everywhere in the house. Jae-gun was holding the medicine bottle, so Hae-jo grabbed it. He quickly put the medicine in his mouth to drink. Jae-gun asked Hae-jo to go somewhere with him. When Hae-jo refused, Jae-jun held his hand and said, "I have a great place." Then Jae-jun took Hae-jo to the fish market in the middle of the night. This was also the time when the merchants were busy transporting and trading seafood. When Jae-jun asked Hae-jo what kind of fish he liked, he said he liked noodles, so Jae-jun decided to choose fish to cook noodle soup. Then Jae-jun continued to help Hae-jo avoid a collision and held his hand tightly. This reminded Hae-jo of the hand his father had held for him when he was little. Now Jae-gun also held Hae-jo's hand and refused to let go. When they reached the grilled fish stall, Jae-gun immediately fed Hae-jo a piece of grilled mackerel, but Hae-jo complained that it had bones, so Jae-gun continued to feed Hae-jo a spoonful of cold rice to counteract the fish bones. When the fishmonger said that Jae-gun Jae-gun's son was so handsome. He proudly said that this was his face when he was young. Hae-jo heard it but was not excited at all. He continued to choose fish. When Jae-gun saw a fishing boat that had just arrived, he generously offered to buy a large quantity of fresh fish. But when Jae-gun checked his wallet, he found that he didn't have enough money, so he immediately criticized him and reduced the amount of fish he had just bought. This made the bald man very angry. When Hae-jo took out his money to pay, Jae-gun still didn't let it go and loudly asked, "How dare they hit the gambling god in front of him?" The merchants immediately prepared their weapons. The ship owner immediately pushed Jae-jun down, but he was still extremely grumpy and said that he went to the market early to experience the feeling of being a father for the first time in his life. Jae-gun thought that the fishing men were ruining it. Then Jae-jun started pushing them down, so the merchant took out a knife. Hae-jo immediately took it and threw it away, so Jae-gun started to pick a fight with them even more. Hae-jo had to step in to rescue Jae-gun. After that, the two of them ran away together. They ate noodles mixed with seafood by the beach and drank a few glasses of wine together. Jae-jun asked about Hae-jo's previous life. He said that he had gotten into a fight like that and was beaten. Hae-jo just went with the flow. Jae-jun encouraged Hae-jo that he was still young and had worked hard to grow up on his own. Jae-jun praised his son for being good. When Jae-gun comforted him, Hae-jo cried again. At this time, Jamie woke up at home. She loudly called out Hae-jo and Jae-gun's names, but she couldn't find anyone. She thought that Hae-jo had left, so she checked her money bag. Jamie saw that it was still there. Then she thought that if he left, then let him go. Then Jamie put a flashlight on her head to find her own way. She entered the deserted forest and found a tombstone. Jamie ran as fast as she could and tripped and fell down a slope. She burst into tears and didn't know where to go. At the harbor, Jae-gun was drunk, so Hae-jo suggested that he go home. Suddenly, Jae-gun asked how long he had left to live, because Jae-gun knew that the medicine was a painkiller for terminal cancer patients. Jae-gun had taken it for several years before, so he could tell right away. Jae-gun even guessed that Jamie didn't know about this. Hae-jo said that Jae-gun had crossed the line. They were just two strangers in this life. Jae-gun asked, what if Hae-jo was really his son? What if Hae-jo had gotten the terrible brain disease from Jae-gun's uncle? When Jae-gun hugged Hae-jo tightly, Hae-jo pushed him away and coldly left. Jae-gun still followed and vowed to sacrifice himself for Hae-jo. At this time, Gi-ho was massaging Wang Chil's feet. He was lying in a luxurious bathtub enjoying himself. Suddenly, Gi-ho got a phone call, so he asked permission to go outside to answer it. He picked up the phone and insisted that he didn't know who Sang-hyuk was. Eo-hen said that he was the one who kidnapped my bride. This guy drove a car under Gi-ho's name to the Ao family's house and took Jamie away. Gi-ho then remembered that Hae-jo had mentioned Jamie's name once, and that was also the missing bride on the flyer, so Gi-ho was extremely panicked. He immediately called Bong-suk to ask if Sung-hyuk had contacted her. Bong-suk immediately said that she must be a carrier pigeon for the two of them. After hanging up, she whispered how he knew Hae-jo's real name. Gi-ho was also very shocked when Hae-jo turned out to be Sung-hye, so Hae-jo was kidnapping Eo-hung's bride, not Wang Chil's bride. So these gangsters are wasting their time. In another development, Hae-jo returns home and finds his ex-girlfriend has disguised her bed, so he thinks she ran away, but Jamie appears in front of him and lies down to make up for last night's sleep. At this time, Hae-jo tells the story of how Jae-jun dragged him to the fish market all night, and the two of them had to fight 17 gangsters. Then Hae-jo also announces that they don't have the test results yet today, so they don't need to go down the mountain yet. He also heard that there's a storm, so the two of them will stay for a few days. Then he immediately gives her the fried shrimp he packed to bring home, but she pushes it away and says she's allergic to shellfish. It's been 3 years, so Hae-jo has forgotten. Jamie immediately blames him for being a heartless man. Then the two of them start arguing fiercely, and they both lie down and turn their backs to each other. That night at the motel, John found Eo-hung sleeping in the toilet, so he gently carried Eo-hung to bed. While the two were facing each other, Eo-hung also woke up, so John stood up awkwardly to avoid any unnecessary misunderstandings. At the hotel, Gi-ho confidently affirmed to Wang Chil that Hae-jo was not kidnapping his wife, but Wang Chil stabbed Gi-ho's leg with a knife and asked if Hae-jo had ruined his wedding. If Hae-jo had cooperated with the woman who had cuckolded him, Yang Hui cuckolded Wang Chil and also took all the money in his safe. Gi-ho then remembered that he was involved in the robbery, so he said he didn't know. Wang Chil then changed the question. In the end, who was the mastermind behind it all? Gi-ho then said it was Hae-jo, so the knife was pulled out. At this time, Jae-gun saw Jamie's injuries, so he asked her kindly. As Jae-gun was getting ready to go to work, he asked Jamie to help him with something. No matter what the test results were today, Jae-gun still wanted to consider Hae-jo as his son. Jae-gun asked Jamie to convince Hae-jo to stay here for a few more days. When she nodded in agreement, he asked her to go down to the valley to pick wild vegetables for dinner. At the Thay Hotel, Eo-hung called Gi-ho and told him about his powerful family background and his mother's fame to threaten him, but Jiho was determined not to get involved with Haejo anymore. So Eo-hong immediately knelt down and begged Jiho to help him. After the doctor stitched his wound, Jiho went home on crutches and asked the assistant to let him buy banana milk to replenish the blood he had lost. The assistant immediately said that if he had lost blood, you should drink strawberry milk. Then he allowed Jiho to go buy milk. While at the convenience store, Jiho informed Eo-hong that he was risking his life to help Eo-hong. So Eo-hong also promised to reward him appropriately. Then Jiho sent Eo-hong the coordinates of where Haejo was. At this time, the gangster also appeared and ordered the crippled guy to go out. Eo-hong also left the convenience store, but unfortunately he met Wang Chil's gang. When the gangster took off his hat, Wang Chil also recognized this as his friend who had been in prison with him. Wang Chil approached and said that they had cheered Eo-hong when she stripped at the police station. When Eo-hong asked for permission to leave, Wang Chil pulled him back and said that he had to find his kidnapped wife at all costs. Eo-hong continued to escape from these gangsters in a panic. Then Eo-hong got in the car and asked John to leave immediately. At this time, Jamie went to pick wild vegetables. When she saw the bandage, she remembered this morning when she was closing her eyes, Haejo gently applied ointment and dried her wound. Then he put a band-aid on her. She also couldn't forget the touch of their lips. So Jamie woke herself up. At this time, Haejo was immersed in a beautiful dream. In his dream, his new father cooked many delicious dishes for him. His wife Jamie was pregnant, and they lived peacefully in this peaceful land. Right now, Wang Chil's gang was also climbing the mountain to find Haejo. When Jiho reported that the GPS signal was unstable, one of them rushed forward and suggested the idea of burning the mountain down so that Haejo could find them himself. At this time, Jamie was also standing behind a tree and heard everything. She was about to leave but made a noise. So the gangsters came and asked her if she knew any nearby wooden houses. Then Wang Chil took off his hat, and they also recognized that this was the missing bride in the flyer. Jamie immediately attacked Wang Chil and quickly ran away. The gangsters began to chase, but because she was more familiar with the terrain here, Jamie was able to temporarily escape and loudly called for help. At the same time, Oh-hong was also nearby and continued to move forward with John. Haejo still had not escaped from the beautiful dream, but it turned into a nightmare when Oh-hong appeared. Oh-hong also snatched Jamie out of Haejo's arms. When Jamie woke him up, Haejo immediately asked if she had come back to him. She immediately slapped him in the face and informed him that the gangsters were going up the mountain. Haejo immediately took his bag, but the two of them did not have any money inside, so they also guessed who stole the money. Now the gangsters, Oh-hong went in two directions to go to the house, and Jiho was dragging himself behind, but he accidentally fell. Haejo led Jamie to run down the mountain when they encountered something, but it was just a raccoon. Meanwhile, Wang Chil's group encountered Oh-hong. When Wang Chil walked up, Oh-hong gently took out an acupuncture needle. After a while of chatting, the two realized that they were looking for the same enemy, so Oh-hong immediately proposed to shake hands to cooperate. Then Oh-hong stabbed the needle into Wang Chil's philtrum. Then Oh-hong informed Wang Chil's followers that if I stabbed one more centimeter, yours leader would be paralyzed. When Wang Chil's followers rushed forward, he immediately stopped them. Oh-hong suggested that John go inside and take Jamie out. Wang Chil signaled his men to stay put. Haejo and Jamie went to a truck. At this time, Haejo also received the test results. Haejo immediately remembered that the landlord had lost a lot of money playing the stock market, and he had also introduced himself as a gambling god when they got into a fight the night before. While the two were eating noodles together, an uncle came and asked him to gather at a nearby container. Just now, Haejo and Jamie had discovered a lot of his debt collection papers and took a picture of a symbol marking today's date on the calendar. Haejo took out his watch and asked the uncle to drive them to the cargo port. This watch was worth about 4 million won. When the two of them arrived at the port, Jamie told Haejo not to kill anyone but to give him a little bit of his last breath. Haejo went to the cargo compartment marked on the calendar. Haejo saw a guard sitting at the gate. At the house on the mountain, John came out and announced that he couldn't find Jamie, so Oh-hong also let go and ran to find her. When the gangsters asked to rescue their leader, Oh-hong said he was lying. Wang Chil moved and didn't have quadriplegia, so Wang Chil also restarted his tongue and felt that he was not injured at all. He immediately rushed forward and was about to punch Oh-hong when John stopped him. The two began to measure their strength. John was the one who was more dominant. When they were about to fight, Jiho arrived and announced that Haejo was calling him. Then Jiho turned on the loudspeaker for Wang Chil. Haejo asked Wang Chil to come here to arrest him and spare Jiho. Wang Chil also agreed and asked where Haejo was. When he hung up, Haejo rushed to take down the guard. Haejo then opened the cargo hold and took out the other guards. By this time, Jae-jeon had also spent all the money in his pocket. Haejo continued to take out the gambling operators. Haejo grabbed Jae-gon. When Haejo restrained him, Jae-gon begged for a chance to explain. He swore that he didn't intend to take all of Haejo's money. Jae-jun said that he just wanted to invest it to bring his son more money. Haejo used more force when he heard these excuses. Haejo asked Jae-gun to sincerely apologize to him, but Jae-gun called Haejo an orphan. Thanks to Jae-gun, Haejo had 2 happy days. Jae-gun thought that someone like Haejo wouldn't find a father like him. When Haejo was about to attack, Jamie ran over. She beat up the swindler and said that Haejo stayed because he pitied him. After that, she ordered Haejo not to hang out with people who were not on the same level anymore. Then she pulled his hand away, but Jae-gun was still stubborn and said that Haejo was just like a child. Haejo immediately pushed Jamie's hand away and hit Jae-gun repeatedly in the face. Haejo remembered the fake actions Jae-jun had done to him, so he attacked even harder. Seeing that, Jamie hugged Haejo and burst into tears, making him cry too. Because of the great hurt of being emotionally deceived, when the two of them sat together, Jamie gently asked Haejo if Jae-jun was not his biological father. When Haejo said no, Jamie felt extremely relieved, suggested that he go find the next candidate. Jamie told Haejo not to worry about money because this morning she stole some money from him, just in case. But Haejo suggested that Jamie should go now because he thought going with her would be fun, but it wasn't fun at all. She didn't plan on going with him in the first place anyway, so they'll end it here. Jamie immediately declared that she didn't want to be like that. She wasn't going to be a fool anymore, believing his lies. Jamie thought that Haejo had been played with by a swindler, which made him lose his mind. Moreover, she thought that he should be grateful that he still had his biological father to look for. Jamie reminded him that he was the one who asked her to wander aimlessly. Even though Jamie refused, he still dragged her along. She blamed him for sending her away when the fun was over, so she vowed to find Haejo's father and ask him why he gave birth to someone like Haejo. Haejo immediately kissed Jamie on the lips, causing her to stand still. But Elhong was also witnessing this scene. He whispered with teary eyes, "It's really Jamie. You said you'd wait for me." John immediately covered Elhong's eyes to ease his pain. At this time, when the thunder and lightning sounded, the couple stopped kissing. Elhong appeared and ran to punch Haejo in the face. Then he hugged Jamie and said that he just needed to see her and that would be fine. When Jamie apologized, Elhong said that she was not at fault. Haejo saw the two of them meet again, so he immediately left. Jamie kept asking Elhong what she was that he had to chase after her so miserably. Moreover, she had already told him over the phone so he should give up. Elhong immediately said that he had promised to protect her for the rest of his life. Since they were already married, Elhong hoped that she would smile loudly to reassure him. When Jamie smiled, Elhong immediately hugged her. Then he told her that they should go home together. Suddenly, Haejo ran back. It turned out that he was being chased by gangsters, so Jamie also took Elhong's hand and ran over. The two of them and Haejo turned into a four. At this time, John was watching from afar. As the three of them ran away, Haejo saw a man leaving the boat. He deliberately bumped into him and stole the boat owner's key. Then they jumped onto the boat and started the engine. Jamie and Elhong tried to untie the ropes from the stakes when Wang Chil suddenly threw a knife in Elhong's direction, but John caught it. Then John continued to beat up the remaining gangsters. Elhong tried to cut the ropes on the stakes. Meanwhile, Giho was filming the chase. The two gangsters jumped onto the boat. Haejo and Jamie pushed them into the water one by one. After a while of fighting, John was stabbed by Wang Chil. Now that Elhong had also cut the ropes, Haejo started the boat and left the dock, but Elhong still couldn't get on the boat. Elhong ran in another direction to block the boat, and he risked jumping into the water. While Elhong was struggling in the water, he fell into a dream. Elhong saw that he and Jamie had become husband and wife. After many days of waiting, Elhong finally had the chance to consummate the marriage with Jamie. Until the next morning, Elhong was still unconscious and felt the softness. When Elhong opened his eyes, he saw Jamie in front of him. Elhong immediately kissed the skin below, but it was Haejo's leg. This made Elhong run away to vomit because it was so disgusting. Then Elhong dragged Jamie to find a way out. When Haejo woke up, he saw that the two had left. Suddenly, his illness relapsed. He hurriedly took out the medicine bottle and tried to grab the last remaining pills, but it was still not enough for him to overcome the pain. Jamie was with Elhong, but she was still worried about Haejo. When Elhong saw Jamie like that, he immediately suggested that the two of them imagine this was Hawaii. Just pretend that they were on their honeymoon for a few days and then go home. Jamie immediately said that she couldn't go home. Jamie was about to tell the truth, but Elhong stopped her and pretended to see something to leave. While Elhong was sitting sadly, Jamie walked in front of him. She was only wearing one shoe. Elhong gently took off the shoe and threw it away. After that, he washed his shoes and kindly put them on her feet. Jamie immediately remembered the moment Elhong put the flower shoes on her, so she patted his head and thanked him for keeping his promise that day. He still didn't give up and chased after her to the end. Jamie was about to tell her secret, but Elhong covered her ears, but she still decided to tell him that she was infertile because she had early menopause. Jamie planned to hide it like to marry him, but she regretted not telling him sooner. Aohong immediately stood up. Aohong was happy to know that Jamie ran away, not because of that man, but because of early menopause. Aohong said he would tell his family that he was infertile. Having a son to continue the family line was not important to him. Aohong did not care about his mother and relatives' criticism. He just wanted to live happily with her. Unexpectedly, Haejo was sitting nearby and heard everything. Aohong thought that Aohong was following them, so he laughed and joked. Unexpectedly, Haejo was still sitting there. It was just that Jamie and Aohong returned to their original place. Jamie found it hard to believe because she felt like she had only walked a short distance. At this time, Haejo explained that yesterday he had pulled the two of them to shore. He himself had also walked around the island in less than 10 minutes. Haejo realized that this was a deserted island, so they had to stay here until someone came to pick them up. Aohong didn't believe it, so he ran out to check, but there was really no one around. At home, Hoja tried to contact her son, but there was no signal, so she called John, but there was no signal either. This made her very worried. Galja immediately suspected that the family was at risk of extinction. When she heard that, felt very worried. She prayed to her ancestors to bless the Ao family to have descendants. On the deserted island, Jamie also asked why Haejo was being chased by the gangsters. Haejo then recounted the chase. When Haejo explained to Wang Chil that Yang Hui hired Haejo to kidnap her during the wedding, he did it. Seeing that, Giho leaned on his crutches and walked over. Jiho said that Yang Hui had taken all the money in Wang Chil's safe and ran away. That's why Haejo and Giho became her scapegoats. At this time, Wang Chil was determined to kill Haejo to regain his honor and also to avenge his lost tooth. So Haejo had no choice but to run away. Then Haejo ran to Jamie and Aohong. At this time, Jamie kept blaming Haejo for daring to kidnap the bride over and over again, and then getting other people involved. After Aohong ran around the island, he returned to his original position. Aohong saw Jamie fighting with Haejo, but she seemed very close to him, so Aohong felt quite sad. At the motel, John was disinfecting his wounds from yesterday's confrontation with the gangsters at port. The newspapers also published the video of the chase at the port that Jiho had filmed. The police were also actively searching for the leader of the Prince gang. At this time, Wang Chil was also holding a knife. He went up to where Jiho was being held. There was also a high-powered ice crusher. Hoja saw the news about the gangsters being arrested at port, so she called John and asked him to find her son immediately. On the deserted island, Aohong and Haejo were competing to catch fish, but instead of catching fish, the two found ways to fight each other. Later, Aohong also knew that Haejo was Jamie's ex-lover, but Aohong still tried to act calm and affirmed that the love affair had broken down, and a broken mirror could not be mended. Meanwhile, Jamie was sitting and thinking about Aohong, not caring about her early menopause. While hunting, Aohong saw two fish clinging to each other. Aohong immediately remembered the kiss that Haejo gave Jamie. Aohong continuously swung the stick down. Then, the image of Jamie and Haejo passionately on the bed appeared again. Aohong lost her temper and became more aggressive. When she saw Haejo, Aohong did not hesitate to stab the stick through Haejo. But that was just Aohong's thoughts, because Aohong had woken up in time and confirmed that the two had broken up. Now Haejo also spoke up to ask if Jamie's menopause was really no problem for Aohong. Aohong immediately asked how Haejo knew she had menopause. Haejo also said that the two of them were in the hospital that day. Just now, Haejo heard Aohong say that the two of them just needed to live happily without needing family. But Haejo revealed to Aohong that Jamie didn't like it. She got married because she needed a family. But how could Aohong abandon his family? Aohong immediately hit Haejo. Then a fight broke out between the two men. When the two were hugging each other, Jamie appeared and saw this scene. While the three of them were grilling food, she loudly disciplined the two men because they didn't worry about finding food but fought in the sea. Then while eating grilled octopus, Aohong praised Jamie because she knew how to blow fire and get water to drink. Jamie immediately fed him a clam, so Aohong accepted it. Then Haejo and Jamie laughed happily together. The two of them talked very well together. Aohong sat watching the two of them laugh happily and felt very jealous. Aohong immediately stood up and pulled Haejo to follow him. Aohong dragged Haejo to a grassy area. When Haejo was ready to punch, Aohong took off his pants and sat down. It turned out that Aohong wanted to go to the bathroom, but he didn't want Haejo to be with Jamie. Aohong only needed to eat a few mussels or clams to get diarrhea. It was because Jamie fed him that Aohong dared to eat. Hearing that, Haejo immediately remembered what Jamie had said. She said the reason she chose Aohong was because he loved her very much. He was willing to do anything for her. Suddenly, Haejo fainted again due to a relapse. Aohong used a sock to wipe clean, but when he walked away, he saw Haejo's feet shaking. Seeing that Haejo was having a nosebleed, Aohong checked his pulse and realized something. At this moment, Haejo remembered remembered his happy childhood memories. Meanwhile, Eo Hong performed first aid and took out the acupuncture needle box he had brought with him. Eo Hong acupuncture on the 10 fingertips and important points of Heijo. Eo Hong also carefully cleaned the blood and massaged Heijo's whole body to circulate blood. After that, Heijo also woke up and touched Eo Hong. He asked how long he had left to live. Eo Hong said about 500 years. Heijo immediately said that this doctor was a fake because another doctor said at most 3 months. Heijo said that they did a brain scan and said it was a genetic disease. The blood vessels in the brain were disturbed, so Heijo's head felt like it was about to explode. Eo Hong was very surprised when she heard that. Eo Hong grabbed Heijo's neck and asked if he knew he was going to die, but still dragged Jamie along. If Heijo died on the street, how could she bear such a terrible trauma? Heijo explained that because life was too boring before he died, he wanted to go find his biological father. Unexpectedly, Heijo went to Jamie's place because it was fun to be with her. Eo Hong immediately asked Heijo not to take Jamie anymore, and then he left despite Heijo's efforts to persuade him. Eo Hong tried to catch the signal, but the phone still had a signal. Eo Hong saw that his mother had been calling and texting him continuously. Suddenly, Heijo threw the phone away, so Eo Hong had to go pick it up. Heijo immediately apologized to Eo Hong. Then Heijo hurriedly ran to inform Jamie that he had a way to escape from here. When Heijo pulled him away, Jamie immediately pushed his hand away and said that he had no way, because Heijo always lived by the motto, "What will come, just go and you will know." Jamie decided that she would not leave Eo Hong behind. If Heijo wanted to go, he would go by himself. Hearing that, Heijo walked forward alone. Jamie suddenly remembered the old days when the two were still in love. Whenever Jamie had a slight cold, Heijo would immediately rush to the hospital to take care of her. When she was taken to the police station for fighting with someone else, he forced her to apologize to smooth things over. When Jamie was complained by a parent because her child had a stomachache after eating the food Jamie cooked, the principal still forced Jamie to nod and apologize, even though Jamie said the child lied because he didn't want to eat broccoli. Heijo appeared to rescue her. Then he returned the kindergarten teacher's name tag. Heijo also asked Jamie to leave with him. At this time, Jamie unconsciously followed Heijo, but Jamie was stopped by Eo Hong. While Heijo was walking, Wang Chil suddenly appeared. Wang Chil used an axe to attack Heijo. When Heijo fell down, Wang Chil immediately said that he promised to chase and kill Heijo. The two continued to fight. Wang Chil threw the axe, but it didn't hit Heijo, so he rushed over and flew down a cliff with Heijo. Heijo tried to get up and crawl forward. Wang Chil also opened his eyes. Suddenly, Heijo's illness relapsed. When Heijo tried to crawl away, Wang Chil grabbed his leg. Then Wang Chil rushed over and punched Heijo repeatedly in the face, knocking him unconscious. When Wang Chil took out the knife hidden under his foot and was about to end everything, Jamie appeared in time and hit him on the head with a rock. Just as Wang Chil was about to sit up, he received another stick from Eo Hong. When the two helped Heijo up, Wang Chil still wanted to continue fighting. Heijo pulled everyone forward. That push knocked Wang Chil unconscious, but the knife accidentally stabbed Jamie in the stomach. At this time, a train was also coming. While in Heijo's arms, Jamie tried to ask him where her shoes were. She then passed out as well. Eo Hong was trying to signal for the ship to dock on the island. Then Jamie was also taken into the operating room. After the surgery, she was taken to the recovery room. Only Eo Hong was allowed inside, while Heijo stood outside. Eo Hong knelt down to apologize to his mother and admitted that he was the one who lied about being pregnant. Jamie was not at fault at all. Hoja immediately declared that from now on, Eo Hong and Jamie would no longer know each other, so he should go home. Quickly, he immediately stood up and determined not to leave Jamie here alone. When Hoja ordered John to drag Eo Hong back, Eo Hong kept avoiding. Eo Hong noticed the cameras, so he continued to play the game of taking off his underwear in public. If the cameras caught it, Eo Hong would disgrace the Eo family. Then the nurse came out and asked everyone to stop making noise in front of the hospital room, so the two people on the other side fell silent. After that, Eo Hong was also allowed to stay to take care of Jamie. He was always by her bedside. Heijo returned to Bong Suk's house with a lifeless body. He stopped eating and drinking from day to night. Heijo hugged the shoe that Jamie was wearing tightly, because before, when he was left alone on the beach, Heijo saw Jamie's shoe drop, so he picked it up. When he saw that Jamie was wearing another pair of shoes, Heijo immediately put the shoe in his coat. The next morning, Bong Suk tried to take the shoe, but Heijo used all her strength to hold it back. He even bit her hand, so Bong Suk poured all the shoes she had on Heijo. At this time, Wang Chil of the Prince Gang was arrested by the police. He kept claiming his innocence during the investigation. Ji-ho went to the Ao family to claim credit for being the one who plotted to capture Wang Chil and rescue the eldest grandson of the Ao family. Gi-ho also told Galja that he was the one who filmed the entire battle at Busan port and sent it to the police. When he was about to be killed by Wang Chil, Gi-ho revealed the location of the deserted island to him to lure him there. Then Ji-ho sent the location medicine to the Coast Guard to rescue Ao Hong. A few days ago, Giho had done business with Ao Hong at a supermarket, so the two exchanged locations with each other. When Galja asked if Giho was demanding payment for saving Ao Hong's life, Giho frankly confirmed, but she said that her sister was responsible for all those things. But now that Ao Hong's name was mentioned, Ho Ja didn't even listen. She was Ao Hong's mother. Galja was only the second wife. Giho stopped kneeling and asked if that meant she was only the second wife. He was immediately thrown out of the house for his bad attitude, but Giho still rushed into the house hoping to see Hoja. Then he also witnessed the scene of her scolding the people in the house and ordering that no one enter this room, so Giho had to tiptoe back. At this time, Jamie was lying in the room under guard and had not yet woken up. Immediately, Giho went to tell Bong Suk about that scary family. Giho spoke up to ask Bong Suk to let him manage the gambling room. When Bong Suk announced that she did not like to use her ex, Giho immediately confided that when he worked with Haejo, he pocketed quite a lot of money for himself. When he was in Busan, Haejo left him. Giho blamed Haejo for only caring about Jamie. Bong Suk was a bit concerned when he heard. Giho continued to curse Haejo because he had ruined the lives of many people. But then Giho discovered Haejo buried in a pile of shoes. At night, Ao Hong overcame John. He slowly walked towards the room, but was immediately carried out by John. Ao Hong found another way to break in and tried bribery, but the result was the same as before. He tried a few more times but was thrown out. That night, Ao Hong tried to make medicine to nourish Jamie, so the next morning the butler asked John for permission to bring the medicine inside for her to drink. When John moved aside, Gaja dragged her steps and walked sideways like a crab. John noticed that Gaja had 4 legs, but he just smiled. Ao Hong also got out of her dress and went into the room. Then he fed Jamie the medicine spoon by spoon. On this side, Bong Suk tried to get Haejo out of bed, and she asked if that shoe belonged to a girl he used to know. Then she snatched the shoe and threw it away. Haejo got out of bed and ran downstairs to find the shoe, but it was still in Bong Suk's hand. Seeing Haejo rummaging through the trash, she remembered the day she first met Haejo. He was also rummaging through the trash looking for food. When he smelled the chicken, Haejo followed the attractive scent of the chicken box. When he arrived at Bong Suk's house, she also left chicken box outside, so the homeless guy had a full meal. In the following days, she also brought out a lot of food to give to Haejo. That day, Haejo also received a box of food, but inside there was only raw broccoli. Bong Suk opened the door and walked out, telling him that it was enough to freeload. From now on, he should find his own food. Then she introduced Haejo to the other employees at the bar and told everyone that she picked up this boy on the street so she would raise him. The boy would be Bong Suk's child or her lover. Haejo also started to get used to the job of an errand boy, with many different jobs at the bar. He ate leftovers to fill his stomach. After a while, he also started his own business, and Bong Suk enthusiastically helped him. At this time, she also used the shoe to lure Haejo into the taxi with her. The driver had to open the car window because Haejo had not showered for many days, so he smelled. He held the shoe tightly and remembered the moment his ex-girlfriend paid for this used shoe, along with her cute image on this shoe. Jamie also cherished the shoe because she did not want it to be thrown away again. Now Haejo asked the driver to drive to where Jamie was. At this moment, Jamie was also dreaming about the moment she found the other shoe, so she was very happy and opened her eyes. Jamie saw Ao Hong's mother standing in front of her. Then she knelt on the ground to apologize. Hoja said that because Ao Hong wanted to stay by your side until you got better, so I let you into this house. So if Jamie knew what was good, she should have left quietly. When Jamie said that she would choose her words carefully with Ao Hong, Hoja suggested that Jamie not hurt Ao Hong anymore. She just needed to leave quietly. Then Ao Hong went into the room, and the maid informed him that Jamie had just talked to his mother for a while and then left. Then Ao Hong ran out and looked for Jamie everywhere. While Hoja was introducing her family's traditional soy sauce to the media, she saw her son coming, so she immediately found a way to say goodbye to the guest because she was afraid that her family's story would be reported in the newspaper. Then she pulled her son into the room to talk. Ao Hong kept asking his mother where Jamie was, but she asked why he lied to her. Hoja was talking about menopause. Jamie confessed to Hoja. Hoja angrily shouted, "How could Jamie dare to hide it and enter her house?" Hoja felt lucky that the wedding was cancelled, but Ao Hong burst into tears and asked if they couldn't be together just because they couldn't have children. He also admitted that he wasn't mature enough to be a father, so it wasn't Jamie's fault. In another development, Bong Suk stopped at a rest stop to let Haejo take a shower. In the bathroom, he was also taking a shower and washing his hair. After that, Haejo dried his hair and changed into new clothes. He confidently looked at himself in the mirror and said that he had the beauty of a bad boy. When a boy was curious about what the beauty of a bad boy meant, Haejo said it was extremely charming. This made the boy feel very confused. Ao Hong went out and saw Jamie waiting for him. The two of them walked in the bamboo forest at the Ao family's family's mansion. When he suggested running away from home with Jamie, she joked that she liked a man with a big house like this one. If Ao Hung ran away from home, he wouldn't be charming anymore. Jamie knew that everyone thought she was materialistic and wanted to marry into a rich family. He could think of her that way. Jamie revealed that the two of them should stop. When Ao Hung heard this, tears welled up in his eyes, and he quickly walked away. Hoja drank a glass of wine and remembered what Jamie said. The main reason she couldn't marry into this family wasn't because she couldn't give birth, but because Ao Hung was much more outstanding than her. Jamie hopes Hoja won't raise her voice at Ao Hung and cherish her precious son. At this time, Hoja whispers that Jamie is a fake girl, but Hoja also admits that her son is good at judging people. Although Jamie is a bit fake, she is not hateful. Then she tells her late husband that she now wants Ao Hung to be like him. If so, then Ao Hung will soon like another girl. At the same time, Haejo is sitting in a taxi with Bong Suk. He realizes that he has arrived at the Eo family's territory. Suddenly, the memories he had with Jamie appear very vividly, so he decides to wake her up and ask Bong Suk to buy him corn. Then, while she is eating an ear of corn, the taxi starts moving and Bong Suk's bag is thrown to the ground by Haejo. At the Ao family's house, Ao Hung is sitting alone in deep thought. Haejo suddenly appears and calls Ao Hung brother. Haejo also thanked Ao Hung for saving Haejo's life on the deserted island. Haejo even hugged Ao Hung to show his sincerity. After a while of talking together, Ao Hung also revealed to Haejo that Jamie had gotten much better. Haejo was overjoyed when he heard that. Ao Hung also asked Haejo many questions. Ao Hung wondered why he changed his name to Haejo when his real name was Sung Hyuk. Moreover, Ao Hung also knew that Haejo used to live in a rich neighborhood, and did his parents know that he was sick? Haejo immediately joked that you wanted me to marry my family or something. Why did you ask so many questions? After that, Haejo asked Ao Hung to return Jamie's shoes, and he quickly left. Ao Hung also remembered that when she was in a coma, Jamie mumbled about a pair of shoes. She said she wanted to wear the shoes to go to him. So now Ao Hung also knew that this was the shoe that Jamie mentioned. Ao Hung stood in front of Jamie's room with the shoe in his hand. He remembered the doctor saying that it was lucky that the knife was stuck in the shoe sole in her pocket, so it didn't hit her small intestine. Now Ao Hung also let two shoes meet, but Ao Hung stepped back and didn't enter Jamie's room. Ao Hung put the shoe down and cried like a child because he knew that Jamie's feelings were no longer directed towards him. The next morning, Jamie put on the shoe. She noticed that one side of the shoe was peeled off. Then Jamie put on the shoe and left the Eo family's house. A few days later, she rang the doorbell of an apartment. Bong Suk opened the door wearing a sexy nightgown. Then Haejo appeared inside wearing a pair of panties. So Jamie rushed into the house and tiptoed close to Haejo's face. But it wasn't a kiss, it was a bite on the nose. Jamie even clung to Haejo so that he couldn't escape. Then the two of them wrestled and fought. Bong Suk tried to stop them, but was also knocked away. At this time, Bong Suk could only helplessly watch the couple argue. Then she had to knock on the wooden fish to awaken the compassion of this male and female couple. Now Haejo also told Bong Suk that Bong Suk was 40 years old. Bong Suk immediately said that she and Jamie had met several times. Jamie immediately stood up and questioned Haejo. She blamed him for clearly saying that he was going to find his father, but he was playing with someone old enough to be his mother. Bong Suk immediately asked if they were only one zodiac sign apart but were old enough to be his mother. Wasn't Jamie also about to marry someone old enough to be her father? When Jamie was pulled out by Haejo, she immediately glared at Bong Suk. Jamie walked away smiling when she realized that she had misunderstood the relationship between Haejo and Bong Suk. Jamie said she had turned Seoul upside down looking for Haejo, but Haejo coldly asked Jamie to get in the taxi. He gave her the card and asked the driver to take her back to the Ao family home. Then he closed the door. Right after that, Jamie threw her shoes at Haejo. She asked if he didn't use the excuse of returning the shoes to ask about her situation. Didn't he miss her? Haejo immediately said, if he missed her, why did he come to find her after half a month? He just wanted to return the item she liked. Haejo hoped Jamie wouldn't confuse good intentions with feelings. He also said that he felt relieved to leave her. They were happy together, but very unlucky. Haejo thought that an unlucky girl paired with an unlucky guy would bring all kinds of bad things. He put her shoes back on and asked her not to ruin his life. Then he coldly left, leaving her to burst into tears. Haejo went home and tried to stay cheerful. Haejo asked Bong Suk to hug him. Then Haejo poured out his guilt and asked if he was a coward. She comforted Haejo. Then he burst into tears. Jamie stood still in the rain. After a while, Bong Suk deliberately turned on the weather forecast for Haejo to listen to. She kept saying that she didn't know Jamie was still standing in the rain like this. There were all these perverted criminals wearing monitoring bracelets around here. When Haejo heard this, he rushed out to look for Jamie. He searched the whole park and mistook a girl for a taxi. Then Haejo decided to go to his errand boy shop that was about to be demolished. When he went upstairs, he was surprised to see Jamie sitting there shivering. She immediately said that she thought thought he might come, so she sat here waiting. Jamie was right. The two looked at each other and both burst into tears and gave each other a kiss. Then they spent some passionate moments together. After enjoying the sweet feeling together, Jamie asked if this place would be demolished next week, right? Luckily, she came here and found something very precious, which was the thing he gave her. In the past, the two of them used to live together here. At that time, the clumsy girl Jamie also showed off her cooking skills to celebrate her birthday, but she couldn't tell the difference between vinegar and soy sauce, so she suggested eating ready-made seaweed soup. While eating together, Jamie chewed on something, and it was an engagement ring that Heijo had intentionally hidden in the rice, causing her to chip a piece of her tooth. So he immediately asked her to go get her teeth cleaned to celebrate her birthday and mark their love through the pair of rings. After the two broke up, Heijo threw the rings into the fish tank, but then the bully smashed the fish tank, causing the rings to fall to the ground. Jamie picked up the rings when she arrived. Heijo saw this and put the rings on both of them. At the Ao family's large clan, everyone was preparing for the eldest daughter-in-law's celebration. She received the President of the Year award. Ao Hong was assigned to write an essay to tell the ancestors about his mother's great contributions. When Ao Hong finished the eulogy, an uncle in the clan read it. Ao Hong's mother heard the introduction and felt that it was very appropriate, but unexpectedly, the uncle read it. Ao Hong missed Jamie to the bone. Ao Hong's mother crumpled the paper and scolded him. When Hoja drank a cup of tea to calm down, Gaja told her that when I went with Ao Hong to the market to buy offerings, he told the vendor to give him red bean sticky rice cakes and Jamie 10 of each. So the vendor asked Jamie what they were. At this time, Hoja went into the room and saw her son lying next to the bride's hat. When Hoja counted to 3, Ao Hong sat up and shook his body a few times before lying back down. Hoja immediately went to get a bucket of water to help her son regain his consciousness, but she had a severe backache when she lifted the bucket of water, so John had to sweat to carry Hoja into the house for Ao Hong to do acupuncture. But she ordered him to go to the traditional medicine clinic because Ao Hong was no longer conscious enough to do acupuncture, but Gaja insisted that Ao Hong do this, so John was dizzy in front of the two. On this side, Heijo waited for Jamie to fall asleep, and then he hurriedly walked out of the house, but she poked her head out and asked him if he wanted to die by leaving her. He immediately explained that he was just going to find Gi-ho. Heijo told Jamie to go to Bong-suk's place. Then, he kept looking at her and peeked at her several times as if he didn't want to leave. Then, Ji-ho informed Heijo that there was a child in elementary school who was constantly terrorizing the bulletin board with requests to help find her brother. So Ji-ho told Heijo to go meet that child. Heijo went to the meeting place and saw that the child that Gi-ho had just mentioned was a girl. The child asked Heijo to find her brother, Sung-hyo. Heijo realized that this was the daughter who was in the car when the collision happened. She was the biological daughter of the father who once loved him. Heijo burst out laughing because she was so surprised. Then Heijo also announced that they had been in the same freezer. The boy was number 137 and the girl was 139. But the girl didn't understand anything and said that last year her mother went to England. Her father didn't care about her. When Heijo asked why she liked seahorses, the girl said that only male seahorses could get pregnant. The child wished her father was also a male seahorse because if he got pregnant himself, he would love his children more. Heijo continued to ask why she wanted to find her brother who had run away from home. The girl said that because she heard that her parents were going to divorce, her mother would take her to England and then her father would be all alone, which would be pitiful. If he had her older brother, he would be less lonely. Heijo immediately said that he brought it upon himself. Then Heijo tore up the business card of the errand boy shop. The girl burst into tears and said that she had stolen the business card from her father's drawer. It turns out that the father still has the business card that Heijo gave him. Since everyone around is looking, Heijo immediately carries the little girl away. On this side, Bong-suk receives bad news, so she immediately asks Jamie to help her with something. After that, the two of them put on cool makeup to collect the debt from the employee who asked for an advance on their salary, and then disappear. Bong-suk asks Jamie to use the fiercest look possible. Bong-suk's employees are currently enjoying the joy of buying branded goods, but suddenly she sees Bong-suk appear in front of her. When she is about to step back, she sees a girl with a fierce appearance behind her. Jamie immediately turns her wig to attack. In another development, Heijo takes the little girl to the bus stop. When Heijo asked why the girl liked her father when he didn't care about her, the girl said because her father gave birth to her. Being born made her feel interesting. Then she got on the bus to go home and said goodbye to Heijo. Seeing her leave, Heijo felt a sense of loss in her heart. After a while, Heijo called Gi-ho to appear. Then Heijo grabbed Gi-ho and asked him if he had charged the girl for his services. Gi-ho informed him that he only did it for free so that the two of them could meet. Later, when they were drinking together, Heijo wondered why the child still liked her father, even though he didn't love her. her. Gi-ho said it was because of blood ties. Ji-ho also confessed that he hated his father too, but when he saw his father sleeping in the corner of the house, he felt sorry for him and suddenly wanted to treat him better. Hae-jo heard this and wanted to continue looking for the third person on the list of people who could be his father. Gi-ho promised to help Hae-jo. Ji-ho then announced that he had found the third candidate. This person is now the president of Unpung Pharmaceutical Company. There are articles proving that he was the person who donated the most sperm when he was a salesman. He is also nicknamed the Sperm King. If so, Hae-jo is about to become the crown prince. Hae-jo immediately promised to pay Gi-ho 1 billion won if Hae-jo became the heir to the second-generation conglomerate. Hae-jo accidentally dropped the bottle of wine on the ground and he could no longer control his hand, so Hae-jo staggered out of his seat and fell to the ground. Gi-ho helped Hae-jo into a taxi, but Hae-jo pushed Ji-ho away. Hae-jo couldn't close the taxi door by himself, so Ji-ho thought Hae-jo was acting, so Ji-ho helped Hae-jo close the taxi door. Hae-jo went home, but he couldn't remember the password to get in. He was so helpless that he just sat down and cried. Not long after, Bong-suk and Jamie happily walked home together. When Hae-jo saw Jamie's appearance, she couldn't help but be surprised, so she explained that she went out to work with Bong-suk. Hae-jo loudly asked why Bong-suk brought Jamie to those places. Those places were full of drunkards who smoked drugs and gambled. What if they did something to her? Bong-suk was shocked that the boy he helped called her workplace a bad place. Bong-suk angrily scolded Hae-jo. Hae-jo immediately pulled Bong-suk into the house because the whole apartment building was in an uproar. Then Hae-jo bowed his head repeatedly to apologize to Bong-suk for his slip of the tongue. Seeing that Bong-suk still did not give up, Hae-jo put his shirt in his pants, then he continuously shook his butt and danced wildly to make Bong-suk happy. In the Eo family, everyone was worshipping their ancestors. Eo-hong had to take on a heavy responsibility. While performing the hand-washing ritual, Eo-hong saw Jamie in the basin of water, but when he touched her, she had disappeared. When asked to light incense 3 times, Eo-hong continuously put incense into the bowl without stopping. After that, Eo-hong continued to perform other worship rituals. Now Eo-hong was like a soulless body. When burning the paper, a spark flew up to the hat, causing it to catch fire, so Hoja immediately used the basin of water to rescue her son. The very next morning, Hoja read the farewell letter that her son left behind, so she burst into tears and ran to find her son, but she couldn't find her son. Meanwhile, Gi-ho was describing Chairman Shin's background to his teammates. Chairman Shin was known as a legend in the pharmaceutical industry. He climbed from a salesman to the position of chairman after 40 years, and he also made the pharmaceutical company famous worldwide. Chairman Shin's assets were estimated at several hundred billion won, but he had no children. Then Hae-jo and Jamie ambushed Chairman Shin at the inauguration ceremony. Hae-jo planned to carry out the plan to get Chairman Shin's DNA, but when the celebratory fireworks rang out, he felt a sharp pain in his head, so Hae-jo immediately pulled Jamie away, but she still tried to run and jump to grab Chairman Shin's hair. Unexpectedly, the hair she tried to get was just a wig. At this time, Chairman Shin also revealed his true form in front of the entire press, so he was extremely embarrassed. Jamie turned around and saw Hae-jo lying unconscious. She struggled to get away from the bodyguards and ran to Hae-jo's place. He also fainted. Returning to the past, Jamie suddenly met a person who claimed to be her aunt. After that, the aunt was very emotional when she found Jamie, but it seemed that the aunt did not look well, so Jamie was very worried and went to withdraw money to pay the hospital bill. But what Jamie did not expect was that the aunt was just a fake. She took advantage of Jamie's lack of affection to get money. When she and her lover were having fun because they had tricked Jamie into giving him money, Hae-jo suddenly appeared. Without saying much, he continuously punched the man. Hae-jo also opened the car door and kicked him a few times. Hae-jo continued to drag him out of the car and continuously punched him in the face. When the woman saw her lover being beaten, she tried to attack him with all her might, but her strength could not withstand Hae-jo's strength. Only then did Hae-jo threaten her because she dared to take advantage of his lover's feelings. Before leaving, he did not forget to take all the money from the scammers as compensation for Jamie. After Jamie knew the truth, she burst into tears. She did not expect them to deceive pitiful people like her. Seeing Jamie so sad, Hae-jo gently comforted her. Then she happily hugged him. Just like that, they were peaceful and happy in each other's arms. Returning to the present, Jamie was lying next to Hae-jo on the hospital bed. Later, Jamie and Bong-suk were informed by the doctor about Hae-jo's rare disease. Bong-suk lost her composure when she knew that Hae-jo did not have much longer to live. Meanwhile, Jamie remembered Hae-jo's unusual behavior before she kept cursing him to die. Hae-jo also promised that he would die so that she could be happy. At that time, Jamie thought he was just joking, but it was about to come true. Jamie was about to go crazy. Jamie ran after Bong-suk and asked Bong-suk to slap her. At first, Bong-suk didn't care because she was also very depressed, but when Jamie told him about the time she ignored Hae-jo's illness, illness and cursed and asked him to die. Bong-suk couldn't help but slap Jamie. A while later, Gi-ho also came to the hospital and offered Jamie a can of water. Gi-ho immediately said that Bong-suk used to be a member of the school's basketball team, so Jamie shouldn't tease her. Jamie asked about the plan to approach Chairman Shin, and Gi-ho immediately said that after the wig incident, he was very cautious. Jamie waited in front of Chairman Shin's house. Jamie remembered that Hae-jo once said that he had to find his biological father before he died, so she became even more determined. Then Jamie stopped right in front of Chairman Shin's car. He saw that it was the girl from yesterday, so he was very worried. Jamie tried everything to open his car door. She crawled inside to take off his wig, but she couldn't get any real hair. Jamie begged Chairman Shin to spit in her face, and she would disappear immediately. So he also accumulated saliva, and then Jamie happily went home because she had gotten the sample for the blood test. At the hospital, Hae-jo's electrocardiogram machine was ringing. Bong-suk found out, so she ran out to call the doctor. At this time, Gi-ho had just arrived. After that, the doctor performed CPR to save Hae-jo. Jamie returned to the hospital room but couldn't find Hae-jo. She opened her phone and saw that Gi-ho had called her 5 times. Jamie ran to see Bong-suk, and she also knew that Hae-jo was in the emergency room. Then Jamie also announced that she had sent Chairman Shin's test sample. The results will be out tomorrow morning. If Hae-jo was Chairman Shin's son, he would definitely do everything to save Hae-jo. Bong-suk immediately said that the possibility that they were not father and son was very high, so Bong-suk told Jamie not to do anything useless. When Jamie said that finding her biological father was Hae-jo's wish, Bong-suk said that Hae-jo almost died of cardiac arrest. Where was Jamie at that time? If she wanted something, she had to be alive to do it. Then Bong-suk asked Gi-ho not to let Jamie see Hae-jo. Because Bong-suk was Hae-jo's legal guardian, Jamie immediately tried her best to convince the nurse to let her in. In another development, Eo-hong wandered on the bridge and hung up on the call from his stepmother. Gal-ja then asked John to bring Ho-ja porridge, but when John went to the room, he couldn't find Ho-ja. John went to look for her and found her sitting there smoking a pipe. After a while of chatting, Ho-ja also told John that in the past, her husband brought back several concubines and they gave birth to children one after another. Ho-ja personally prepared important holidays for those children. At those times, she would come here to smoke this to relieve her sadness. But after giving birth to Eo-hong, she buried this in the ground. But today, because of Eo-hong, Ho-ja dug it up again after 40 years. Eo-hong had been a kind and gentle child since he was young, so everyone called him American Goods, because at that time, everything good was called American Goods. Eo-hong had never begged Ho-ja for anything except crying and begging her to let him live with Jamie. Ho-ja had cruelly forced them to break up, so now she was suffering the punishment of being separated from her child. Because Ho-ja was afraid that others would see her crying, John put his sunglasses on her. In the middle of the night, Gi-ho gave Jamie his access card while Bong-suk was settling the accounts for the casino. Jamie ran inside and sat next to Hae-jo. He was still unconscious. She hugged him and told him about her hard work to get Chairman Shin's saliva sample. Suddenly, Hae-jo stroked her hair and praised her. He said it had been a long time since he had slept so well, so Hae-jo wanted her to lie down with him. He pointed to the ceiling and said that the last thing most people saw before they died was the ceiling of the hospital room. Hae-jo then repeated his wish when they parted. He said he wanted to lie down in the middle of the street with his arms outstretched, and he would look at the blue sky as he slowly passed out. Suddenly, Jamie woke up from her dream and saw that Hae-jo had not woken up yet. At this moment, she received the results of the blood test that did not match. Jamie looked up at the ceiling and remembered Hae-jo's wish, so she immediately reached out to touch the breathing tube. Then she used all her strength to carry him out of the hospital, but unfortunately, both of them fell to the ground. Jamie saw the patient's clothes cart, so she put Hae-jo in it and explained to everyone that this was just a practice model. After a while of trying, Jamie was able to push Hae-jo out of the hospital and let him go down a slope. When she tried to catch a taxi, her phone battery was almost dead. When she caught a taxi, Hae-jo collapsed on the ground. The driver saw blood and refused to take them. Jamie continued to catch another taxi and informed him that he was still alive, but she was continuously refused by other taxis. At this time, Jamie continuously received threats from Bong-suk, so Jamie felt hesitant about whether she should call an ambulance or not. At this moment, Jamie received a phone call from Eo-hong, but then Jamie's phone ran out of battery, making Eo-hong extremely sad. Jamie kept crying and was afraid that Hae-jo would pass away, but suddenly he opened his mouth and whispered. He sat up very well. Jamie immediately pinched her cheek to confirm whether this was real or a dream. When she knew this was real, Jamie continuously kissed Hae-jo's cheek. When Hae-jo knew he was not destined to be the son of a tycoon, he was very upset. When Jamie asked Hae-jo when he found out about the illness, he said he knew when she received the menopause results. So Jamie said that they were really an unlucky couple. Hae Haejo then decided to go find candidate number 4. He immediately went to meet Giho to borrow the car keys. Giho hugged Haejo tightly to make sure that Haejo was still alive. When he gave Haejo a change of clothes, Giho discovered that Bong Suk had called him 44 times. When Haejo stepped outside, Giho hugged Haejo tightly from behind and promised that if Haejo came back, he would be Haejo's henchman for the rest of his life. Haejo was very touched when she heard that. When Haejo was about to leave, he asked Giho to tell Bong Suk that he loved her. Giho then cried again because he was afraid that Haejo wouldn't be able to come back. Haejo and Jae-mi drove to the place where the 4th candidate was in a very free mood. They sang non-stop. At this time, Aohong asked someone to erase all his memories with Jae-mi, so the employee also clicked to delete all the photos that Jae-mi was in. Aohong was at a phone repair shop. At the same time, Haejo tried to teach Jae-mi how to drive, and he kept scolding her for her clumsiness. This made Jae-mi feel offended and got out of the car, so Haejo immediately coaxed her and promised to take Jae-mi shopping. The two went to a shopping mall together to shop. After a while, the couple decided to wear 2 formal outfits to prepare to meet the 4th candidate. Then, when taking pictures of Jae-mi, Haejo became pensive and tearful. The couple also had a radiant photo together. When evening came, Aohong dressed up like a playboy and drank a bottle of wine. When other girls said he looked interesting, they said his life would be boring without Jae-mi. When Aohong was restrained by the bar security guard, he fell and accidentally called his stepmother at home. His biological mother also heard her son arguing, so she was very worried. Immediately after that, Hoja ordered John to take her to find her son in the middle of the night. Meanwhile, Haejo drove Jae-mi to the 4th candidate's house, and he said that Giho told him that if he met this person, he would recognize him immediately because of the power of blood ties. So Jae-mi immediately put on makeup to prepare to meet the person who could be her father-in-law. Then when they arrived, Haejo asked Jae-mi to introduce him, so she immediately ran in to ring the doorbell and prepared to tell the story of Haejo's birth. But Jae-mi was surprised when she saw the homeowner. Jae-mi remembered the saying that if she met this person, she would recognize immediately. This woman was afraid that her husband and children would see her, so she closed the door and walked out. At this time, Jae-mi discovered that Haejo had driven away in the car, so she chased after him. Then she muttered, "No wonder he treated me so well." Haejo suddenly stopped the car and burst into tears because he had now become a bad person in Jae-mi's eyes. Unexpectedly, Aohong sat in the next seat and asked Haejo why he was crying now that he had abandoned her. Haejo continued to cry loudly and said that he had abandoned Jae-mi again. He had promised to stay with her for the rest of his life. Aohong immediately used candy to comfort and feed Haejo. Then he used a towel to wipe Haejo's face. Then Aohong suggested that Haejo leave. On this side, Jae-mi was crying as she walked down the street, and the landlady from earlier was also following her. So Jae-mi asked her if she knew me. While they were talking, her husband called her from inside the house, so she let go of his hand and stepped back. Jae-mi shouted loudly that she didn't know me, so why did she follow me? Why did she abandon me again? At this time, Jae-mi could only cry and watch the woman leave. A kind driver offered to give Jae-mi a ride, but she cried and said she didn't know where to go. At this time, Haejo was informing Aohong that he had done a good deed because he had helped Jae-mi find her mother's house before he died. But it seemed that it only made her more miserable. He suddenly felt like a coward. Aohong agreed with that statement. Jae-mi kept scolding her boyfriend, but she was still worried because she was afraid that he would faint in the middle of the street. At this moment, Jae-mi received a phone call from Giho. Giho informed her that he would call a car to pick Jae-mi up and take her back to Seoul. After hanging up, Giho immediately went to report the situation to a woman who was playing a game. The person who ordered Jae-mi to be taken back to Seoul was Hoja. Hoja wanted to use Jae-mi to find her son. A while later, Bong Suk also came to see Giho and asked where Jae-mi was. Bong Suk was upset that Jae-mi had dragged a dying person away. Hoja heard it and immediately went over and asked Bong Suk if she was also looking for Jae-mi. So now they were teammates. Jae-mi took a taxi and texted Haejo not to die. He remembered to stay alive and wait for her. Jae-mi closed her eyes and prayed, so she did not know that the taxi was passing by Haejo's car. After that, Haejo and Aohong stopped at a restaurant. Seeing that Haejo was no longer interested in eating, Aohong fed him a spoonful. When Haejo refused to open his mouth, Aohong said that he probably didn't listen to his mother when he was young. Haejo replied that he was being punished for not listening to his mother, and when he was still living in luxury with the name Song-hyo, Haejo constantly begged his mother to give him another sibling. After that, the boy avoided his father because he was bored with playing with him. Soon after, his mother agreed to his request. She called the hospital director to ask if she could have a second child. That's when the tragedy began. The hospital opened the sperm container and found out that it was 137. After the mother found out, she still tried to hide it from her husband and had to take antidepressants every day. At that time, the boy was still loved by his father until his father went to the infertility clinic and everything changed. Haejo also witnessed the argument argument between the two. The husband blamed his wife for not telling him about it. The wife asked if he was going to abandon the child. It was best if he didn't know, so he could continue to be a good father. But the husband immediately affirmed the child was not theirs. Haejo heard this and immediately ran back to his room and covered himself with a blanket. A moment later, his mother came in and saw him with his eyes closed. When Haejo opened his eyes, his mother asked him to go out and look at the stars, but he refused and said he was very sleepy. Seeing this, his mother had no choice but to leave the room. At that time, Haejo was afraid that if he followed his mother, he might never see his father again. But the next morning, the police came to the house and informed him that his mother's car had been found on a slope. After that, the father and son began to burn the pictures of their deceased mother. He also held his father's hand and told him that he didn't need siblings anymore. He said he only needed his father, but his father immediately pushed his hand away and coldly walked away, making the boy gradually feel that he had been abandoned by his father after losing his mother. Like that, the boy had to live every day in his father's coldness and indifference. But Haejo still tried to hold on with the hope that their father-son relationship would return to the way it was before, until he became a high school student. That day, Haejo decided to do an experiment. He wanted his father to buy him black bean noodles. Haejo would wait at the stadium until 12 o'clock. Then Haejo held his high school diploma and waited for his father. He decided that if his father didn't come, he would wander for the rest of his life. But the result was that his father didn't come, so he decided to leave his father and everything that belonged to the name Songhya, including his excellent diploma, behind. At this time, Haejo continued to tell Eohong that it was also the time when a huge cold spell occurred. When he was rummaging through the trash to find food, he won the jackpot. When he met Bong Suk, he used up all his luck in life. On this side, Jae-mi ran to the place that Ji-ho had pointed out, but she saw Bong Suk and Hoja were there, but Haejo was not there. Hoja immediately took the chance to talk to Jae-mi first. Then Hoja took Jae-mi's phone to call her son, but she couldn't get in touch. Hoja suggested that Jae-mi text Eohong to inform him that there was an urgent matter. Maybe he would listen and come find her. At this time, while driving, Eohong also announced that he had run away from home. Haejo immediately laughed out loud and said that he had run away from home for 14 years. Haejo teased Eohong for calling him senior. Eohong also expressed his admiration for Haejo's wandering life. Before, Eohong only did what he was told, and he never stepped out of the predetermined boundaries. When Eohong left, he had to face the cold and hunger, and he didn't know what to do to be happy like other people. So Eohong tried many different hobbies, but found them very boring. At that time, the doctor wished someone would pick him up and raise him, but he received a phone call from a phone number named Dog. When Haejo announced that he was leaving Jae-mi, Eohong came. Haejo heard that and immediately said that even if he died, he would not give her to Eohong. But Haejo gave Eohong a secret. If he left, Eohong should not set any expectations, just let his instincts take him so he wouldn't get lost. After that, the two continued their journey together, and they experienced many emotions. They finally reached Seoul. Jae-mi informed Hoja that she had sent a voice message to Eohong. Jae-mi then called Hoja a great mother because she always lived for her son. Hoja heard it and wished she had a daughter like this. Why would she want a son to continue her family line if she had to suffer like this? Bong Suk then interrupted their conversation and asked why Jae-mi and Haejo went to Hongcheon province. Jae-mi replied that Haejo had left her in front of her biological mother's house and left. Hoja then called the woman a beast because she had abandoned her child. So Hoja ordered John to teach that woman a lesson. Bong Suk also asked for the address so she could send her people there immediately. Gi-ho asked for the person's name and date of birth to quickly shame her online. Seeing that everyone wanted to help her, Jae-mi wanted to buy alcohol from Bong Suk to treat everyone. Hoja immediately showed her card and told Jae-mi to use her card. While they were having fun, the two guys brought chicken thighs to apologize to Jae-mi. Unexpectedly, a group of people were waiting for them. Seeing that, Haejo and Eohong quickly ran away. The three women immediately split up to hold them back. Bong Suk couldn't hide her emotion when she saw Haejo return safely. He smiled and asked her to think of him as a stray dog that she picked up and raised, and not to be sad if she lost him. Bong Suk immediately asked Haejo to stop trying to smile. Anyone who is about to die isn't afraid. Bong Suk comforted Haejo that he wouldn't die, so he shouldn't be afraid. Haejo was also trembling at this time, saying that he really wanted to sleep, but his head hurt as if it was about to split open, and now he sometimes forgets things. Haejo was sad, not knowing what sin he had committed, that he was born from a mistake, had to live on the streets, and now was about to die. At this time, Jae-mi also heard the story and burst into tears along with Haejo. Eohong had to face his mother. She immediately confiscated the phone and turned it on. Countless worried messages that Hoja had sent continuously came in. Then she told her son to get out of the car. When she abandoned her precious son, Hoja immediately called and told him to play to his heart's content, and when he was tired of playing and craved his mother's cooking, he could come home. But remember to take care of his health. At this time, he woke up and asked if his mother's back pain had gotten better. She immediately said that if she lost a little weight, it would go away, and then hung up the phone. Then Hoja borrowed John's sunglasses to cry naturally, and then she suggested that John not go back to America. He should stay and be her second son. He also said he agreed, so Hoja smiled brightly. On this side, Jamie went to the bathroom to wash her face, and then El Hong gave her a handkerchief. When Jamie used the handkerchief to wipe her face, El Hong said that someone had just blown his nose all over it, so he was going to throw it away. But Jamie just needed to wash it and it would be usable. Then El Hong thanked Jamie because since he met her, he had become a tiger. Then El Hong mentioned the flowered shoes he gave Jamie. Heijo replied from somewhere that he had thrown the flowered shoes on the roof of the pig intestine soup shop. Jamie immediately pulled Heijo out to talk privately. When Jamie led Heijo to a deserted area, Heijo was ready to be beaten, but Jamie hugged him tightly and thanked him for finding out her real birthday. She thanked him for returning safely. When Heijo tried to kiss Jamie, he was really beaten. Jamie kept scolding him for making a scene to abandon her in the middle of the road to run away. After a while of arguing back and forth, the couple laughed and joked happily together. Jamie asked Heijo to hug her, but he lifted her up on his shoulder. After that, everyone had a very happy party together. Heijo watched the important people in his life joking around with satisfied eyes. Suddenly, he remembered someone. When everyone was drunk after the party, Heijo staggered out and was discovered by Jamie. When Heijo was rushing into the middle of the traffic, Jamie hugged him and asked where he was going. Was he going to find his next father? Heijo immediately told them to hurry because he didn't have much time left. Jamie continued to stop Heijo and ran back to the bar to find the key. The noise also woke El Hong up. Jamie then found the key, but when Jamie ran out, Heijo was already in a taxi and left. El Hong followed and read the license plate of this taxi. Then Heijo waited in an alley. When a man came home, Heijo immediately ran up and hugged the man tightly and called out, "Dad." This was the father who had abandoned Heijo. He also responded to this hug and called out to Song Hyo. At this time, Heijo burst into tears on his father's shoulder, like the image of a high school boy who wanted to be loved by his father, and the little boy who was always held in his father's arms. Heijo and his father went into the house to look at the old house. He saw the picture of his younger sister and his own childhood photos still displayed here. His father still kept the tapes of important moments in his life, even his high school diploma with honors. His father also informed him that his room was still the same, so Heijo went up to his room. He also realized that all his things were still in the same place, so Heijo lay down on the bed to enjoy the feeling of coming home. Suddenly someone called his name. Jamie was standing outside the window, but Heijo suddenly asked who she was. She must be a ghost because this was the second floor. He opened the window to see. Heijo discovered that Giho had mobilized a forklift to help Jamie become a flying ghost, so the couple kept kissing each other. Jamie immediately asked to go inside to see Heijo's father, but he stopped her and said that his father didn't like strangers coming into the house. Then he suggested that she play a kidnapping game. Early the next morning, Jamie continued to accompany Heijo on their journey without a destination. When the father entered the room, he saw that his son had left behind the business card that he had given in the car accident, and that it read, "You are my son." So the father also shed tears of emotion. The couple was sitting at a restaurant eating. They saw Hoja advertising a natural spice. Later, Gaja and John also appeared in the advertisement. The couple continued to travel together on all roads and experienced many emotions together. Giho still wanted to reopen the errand boy shop and made a video call to let Heijo choose a place to rent, but the landlord was Bong Suk. Heijo immediately suggested that the two of them fall in love. At night, Heijo and Jamie stopped under a bridge and watched the journey that El Hong had posted. In the video, El Hong recounted how he climbed a mountain in Busan to find his bride. Although they broke up, it made El Hong stronger and more mature to see the wider world. At this time, Jamie also liked, but Heijo kept unliking. He was upset when El Hong mentioned his girlfriend. The next day, the couple continued their journey and they recorded many happy moments together. That day, the two of them wandered to a snowy forest, but they couldn't find a hotel to stay in, so Jamie got upset and ran up. When the two of them reached the top of the hill, they saw a beautiful white snow area, so the two of them played tag to enjoy this beautiful natural scenery. After that, they had a lot of fun skiing together. When Heijo saw a bush of grass, he immediately had the idea to go find a lucky four-leaf clover. He joked that if his girlfriend found the four-leaf clover first, he would sell his car to stay in a warm hotel. But if Heijo found it first, they would spend their whole lives wandering in the car. When Jamie heard this, she quickly ran to find the four-leaf clover to win the game. Heijo also started searching, and he found a four-leaf clover. Heijo quickly went to find it to let Jamie know, but at this time he had a nosebleed. Suddenly, Heijo collapsed to the ground and spread his arms and legs. At this time, he could also see the vast blue sky. Jamie rushed over and kept shouting for Heijo not to die. If he was going to die, he had to die in her arms first. At this time, Heijo also whispered that he wanted to live longer. He wanted to love her longer. Heijo never wanted to live like that. While lying in Jamie's arms, Heijo tried to stroke her hair and secretly thought that his last scene in life was his girlfriend. If so, his life would be completely interesting. Heijo said his last words of love to Jamie, and then he died in his girlfriend's arms with a smile on his lips. The movie has ended here. Thank you for watching, goodbye, and see you again.